Good night, Barbados. Good night, Caribbean. Good night, the world. You are watching the Marcia Weekes Show. We're coming to you live from Barbados. And I tell you something, Barbados, tonight we are a nation in mourning. Barbados is bleeding. Our streets, once places of laughter, unity, and culture, have become battlegrounds. Gunshots echo where children should be playing. Families are being shattered. Mothers are left grieving. And too many of our young men are being buried far too soon. This is not just a crime issue. Barbados, it is a national emergency. We cannot afford to turn a blind eye or pretend this is someone else's problem. It affects all of us, our schools, our businesses, our communities, our very future. Barbados, this is not about politics. This is about life and death. It is about reclaiming our country, because before we lose an entire generation to violence, fear, and hopelessness. The question is, how did we get here? Why are guns so easily accessible? Who is fueling this epidemic of violence? What can we as a people do to stop it? The time for silence is over, Barbados. The time for blaming is over. Now is the time for action, collective action. We must unite across political lines, across generations, across communities, because the future of Barbados depends on it. If we do not come together now, we will have nothing left to pass on to our children except pain, loss, and fear. Barbados, we must act, and we must act together. This is a very serious moment, and this is why this weekend we are having the Solemn Walk number 4. A lot of you would remember that we've had 3 Solemn Walks before in various communities in Barbados. This time around, we are going to Silver Hill. We're going to Kendall Hill gas station. We're going to start from there, and we're going to go to Silver Hill Hard Court. This is going to be on Saturday at 10 a.m. Folks, bring the entire family. I just got off the phone. We're speaking with the police. You know, we always have our ducks in a row. So the ducks are in a row, right? We're going to sing songs. We're going to pray. We're going to walk in that community. When we walk in that community, Lucinda, when we walk in that community, Sandra Watkins and JK and Joy and Faith, we are carrying the presence of God. As we walk in, we are changing the atmosphere as we walk into that community. Why should they mourn by themselves? Why should they mourn by themselves? And this is why I am extending a special invitation to the Prime Minister of Barbados and her 29 MPs, the opposition leader and prospective candidates, all political parties, to the Solemn Walk this Saturday, March 29, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Prayers, songs, poetry. We bring the love, we bring a blessing into this community. And together as a nation, we ask for change. Together as a nation, we put our hands and hearts together. How many more of our young men are going to die before we realize that we need to come together? Folks, I tell you, and I have said this, I've said this, on air. I've said this through the newspapers. It is not, this issue is not a political issue. I know a lot of you don't agree with me. It is not a political issue. It cannot be a political issue alone when we have young men who are dying. This young man is 13 years old. We're going to have to find a way to come together. I'm calling. This is an invitation, and we are going to write a special invitation to the PM and our 29 MPs, the opposition leader and prospective candidates, all political parties, to the Solemn Walk, Saturday, March 29, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. It's going to take the village, Barbados. It is going to take the village. I know the legislation. We're going to talk about that. Tonight, we're going to look at it from all angles. And listen, folks, I do understand that it's going to take legislation and requiring legislation. That you know what I'm trying to say. We don't need to be blaming anybody at this point. Let us discuss the matter, look at it, and each of us begin to say, what is it? What is it that we can do to make a difference? What can I do? What can Marcia Weekes do? What can Serlene do? Skylar, what can you do? V. Hoy, what can you do? This is our beloved Barbados. And we are going to have our Love Barbados March, which will be from Liquidation Center, folks, right up to Jemmots Lane. And that's going to be on April 5th, the following Saturday. We're going to have that. That is going to happen. The flyer is here. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen next week, Saturday. So this week, Saturday, what we have the Solemn Walk is this week, Saturday. Okay. And the next week, Saturday, we are going to have our walk from Liquidation Center right there on Bay Street, and we're going to walk and go all the way to Jemmots Lane. Okay, when you see the flyer, we ask you to send it out. These two flyers, send them out. Okay, very important. We're not going to leave this behind because it's a loss. We are mourning, but it's not just a loss of life. We are mourning our loss of land as well. It is something that you could feel the mourning in Barbados. The place is troubled, and so we're not forgetting this issue at all. But we cannot be tone deaf, Barbados. The people in Silver Hill are crying. There are people from my dance school who are in the same class with this young man, and who is weeping tonight. Their friend was taken from them. Without warning. He was not sick. So folks, this is our Barbados. And if we can't come together for this, I don't know. So those of you, I know some of you watch this who are from the Barbados Labour Party. This is a call for all of Barbados to come together. The PM has said that this is something that we need to look at corporately as a nation. And let me just get the exact quote. And also the opposition leader is saying that this is an issue for the entire nation. And so we're going to take them up on it and say, let us come together and get it done. Let us come together and get it done. We got an official statement from the Prime Minister of Barbados, and we got an official statement from the leader of the opposition, Barbados. Can I just tell you something here and say this to you guys, to all of us? And I've said it already, and I'm not doing this to be melodramatic. Folks, if it wasn't for the grace of God, at 13 years old, this could have been me in Jamaica. I've seen gunshots, flying. I've seen guns. I've seen all kinds of things. We had to run and leave our home. gunmen trying to get in her home. As a child, it's traumatizing. It is traumatizing. And for those of you, I remember when I did the movie, the Hush movies and Vigilante the Crossing, you know, that a lot of people said, oh, you know, you are being over dramatic, etc. And here we are today. And I have been saying it, folks, we do not have the size. We cannot manage. You see what's happening in Jamaica, and for some reason, our people are copying that. In fact, you know, the truth is that there are a lot of Jamaicans here. And those are some of the things that we have to look at. And we're going to look at all areas tonight. But what I'm saying, folks, at the end of the day, it is not a political problem. Do you understand? We are going to, yes, you need laws change. You need all of these things happen. You need policies change as well. But you know what I mean. I think what I want to say, it's not partisan. I think that's more the word I'm looking for. It's not partisan, people. There are policies that need to change. There are laws that need to change. Then there are some things that we need to do as individuals, as families. Let's be real about it. As parents, as teachers, as aunties, as uncles, none of us get off. None of us. As community leaders, as activists, nobody gets off. Nobody. If this is not a wake-up call for Barbados, I don't know what else is. This is the same community that a 12-year-old child was playing outside on the veranda. And that 12-year-old child was hit with several bullets. Do you remember that? Well, the veranda was hit with several bullets, I'm sorry, and one went into her hand. It's the same community. Are we listening? To those of you in the community, those of you in Silver Hill, I want to send out a message to the people in Silver Hill. And I want to say to you, as somebody who grew up in Big Lane Central Village, where so much violence occurred at that time and still to this day, I know that you know who did it. Yes, you do. A lot of you in there, you know exactly who did this. And you will sit there and you will point at the government. And you will say what the government isn't doing. And you will say what the church isn't doing. Yet still you sit there at home. Some of you watching me right now, you know exactly who these people are who shot this young man. You know the story behind it too. You know everything. There is a safe way. There's a safe way that you can report it. Yes. You're not a snitch. And speaking to the people in Silver Hill and the surroundings who know the people who killed this young man, the thought of just saying kill the young man. This is not, you can't blame the church for it anymore. Just keep blaming the church. Yes, some blame there. Yes, some blame at the government. Yes, some at the schools. Yes, a whole lot at the parents. We understand that. But the truth is, here is a parent hurting for their son tonight. Barbados, what are we telling this father tonight? What are we telling this father tonight? Will this child die in vain? What would be your excuse for not coming down on Saturday? Because it's not glamorous. It's not glorious. It's difficult for me. There's a lot of triggering happening here for me, folks. I'm being honest and transparent. It's not easy. I have children, and it's not easy. But what I'm saying to us, folks, don't stay in your bed on Saturday morning. I know you can put on your clothes and get down there. We can wear white. We need to get it on the flyer to wear white. Wear white and let's calm down. We're going to pray. We're going to sing. We're going to bring encouragement and peace into that community. Let's walk in the opposite spirit. We're walking in the opposite spirit inside of that community. When we're walking, we bring order. Yes, that's what is happening. We're going to bring order. Folks, this is a call tonight for everybody. A call for us. And as we carry on the show, I'm going to have a moment where we pause and everybody stop to think about what it is that they can do. Before I move into, tonight we're going to spend a couple minutes and just to talk about the Love Barbados March. And then we have some young people who are going to come on. Stay with me. We're going to go back to this issue with Shawnaton Chase. But I have JEHAN now, and JEHAN is going to deal with some of the issues that happened, in the media, some comments from the Prime Minister. We're going to talk about those things. And then we're going to come back to talk about this particular issue. I have ZICO John is going to join me. Don LEACOCK is going to join. SHAQUANI HUNTE is going to join. The young people, they're coming in tonight. And we're going to have a fulsome discussion. And then the lines are going to be open for you to call in as well. You're grieving. I am grieving. The entire nation is grieving regardless of party. We don't want to hear that when we're talking about this issue. It's not, don't make it partisan, people. Please. Okay? It's very important. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So, folks, let's go. We're going to kick into another gear. But actually, before I do that, let's just pause for just a moment of silence for Shawnaton Chase. Yes, yes, Barbados. Yes, Barbados. This is why we do what we do. And tonight I want to invite in the studio Jehan. Jehan is here with us, joining us tonight. Welcome, Jehan SATTAUR. Did I pronounce that properly?
You got it right.
I got it. Yes. Hi, Jehan. Hi, Jehan. And Jehan, I just want to say thank you to you for your assistance in helping us to plan that event on Saturday, the Love Barbados March. Unfortunately, you had a family situation and couldn't be there, but thank you so much for the work that you did behind the scene.
You're welcome. I'll be at the next one for sure.
Most definitely. Well, Jehan, I know that today you would have seen in the newspaper that the Prime Minister said that the Love March was a march of hate. It was not a march of love. It was a march of hate, a march of hate. It was an anti-investment, a hate against investment, I think. So I said to you myself, as somebody, one of those who, were on the planning committee, you're also a behavioral therapist. I thought that I said, you know what, I would love for Jehan to spend a couple minutes with us. I know you can't spend the whole night, but a couple minutes with us talking about that this evening and addressing the nation as it relates to that. Go
Yeah.
right ahead.
Yeah. Between us. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing now.
Okay. Yes. So her exact words, because what we're doing is we are just investigating what she's saying and responding. So in an investigation, facts matter. So what she said exactly is a love march premised on hate for investment doesn't make sense to me. Now, logically, that response doesn't actually make any sense either. There's no logic involved in it whatsoever. It is just saying something for the sake of crazy making.
Mm,
So here's the definition of crazy making. That refers to a behavior or pattern of actions that causes someone to feel confused, frustrated, or like they are losing their sanity. It is often used in the context of relationships. However, it can be used in a political setting as well. But particularly, it occurs when one person manipulates or gaslights the other, leading them to doubt their own perception of reality. So, for example, you will see things like contradicting themselves, which she has done, which is just changing your story and claiming something didn't happen when you clearly remember it.
mm,
Secondly, gaslighting, which is making you question your memory, your perception, or sanity by denying things that were said or done. The third component to that is inconsistent behavior, which is acting one way one moment and completely
mhm,
different the next moment, leaving you feeling disoriented or unsure, which is a popular tactic by this person as well. Blame shifting, that's another component to it. And essentially, that is what she kind of did in the rest of her response in that article. Blame shifting is turning the tables and making you feel responsible for things that are not your fault.
mhm,
She tried to make us feel responsible for something that was not our fault by referencing 10 years ago, this country was crying for investments. And now that we have them, the very same people who then wanted investment and jobs but had so run them away on all fronts that not only them, not just the country, but each and every one of us bore the burden of the adjustment in that last decade. Now, 10 years ago, all of that was out of our control. To my memory, nobody was complaining about it in that way. So she's trying to make it seem like all of that is our fault, right?
mhm.
I am not going to dredge up the past. and worry about what actually happened 10 years ago, because 10 years ago has nothing to do with what is happening right now in her hands under her leadership, right? She is simply attempting to defend irresponsible actions, poor choices, right? Now, we have not said anything about hating investments. We welcome investments when they are done responsibly and they preserve, number one, nature. Number two, the sanctity of our heritage. Number three, they cater to all the citizens of Barbados and the people who intend in the future to visit Barbados and even make it their home. Four, animals are preserved. Sea turtles are not injured or left with nowhere to nest. The builders are responsible. They are creative. They are
Mm-hmm.
honest. And
Mm-hmm.
they build structures that don't crack after 2 or 3 months, right? She went on to talk about quality. She's not nickel and diming it, but is allowing people who do shoddy work, and it is a known fact that they do shoddy work, and get taken to court for doing shoddy work
Mm-hmm.
to build some of these structures, right? That is unfair. So that is an indication anyways that there's a certain level of fear because we are pushing back. We are taking our rightful power back and we are standing up for Barbados,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is, this is so important what you're saying tonight, and I don't know why I'm getting that echo back there. But because sometimes especially when people have lived in fear for a long time, and the person who has them in fear, starts to speak or to give their opinion on something. A lot of times people cower. If you think of someone who is in an abusive relationship, right? And they're seeking, trying to get out of it. But somehow you still depend on the opinion of that person, the oppressor then. And someone who reads this today might think that, oh boy, that means, what if we were part of something that was bad? And so that's why I thought it would be good for you to come and to, just to share your thoughts on it.
Trying to make it seem like we were rioting and throwing chairs through store windows and, you know, saying F the police and F government and behaving unruly and all these different things when everybody was just having a good time. But what scares her the most is that someone wearing a Mia Cares shirt spoke out against her. You realize that,
Mm,
right? It was only one person, but it was a powerful attack on
mhm,
everything that she has sought to build. We no longer trust our leaders, and it's not just her. You know, everybody has a part to play in this. All politicians have a part to play in this because they're the ones that are in cabinet, allowing decisions to be made, and we all have a part to play in it because we are complacent and we're complicit with our own slavery. We're just sitting there assuming that there are people out there that have our best interests, and so we don't have to check behind them, right? But
mhm,
we have started to check behind them now, and we are in a time of disclosure. The truth is coming out, and so a
mhm,
lot of people are waking up very quickly, and there's nobody that is angrier than somebody that just woke up and they don't want to get out of bed, and they're like, what the heck is going on? You
mhm,
understand? They just pull the sheets off their heads and they're seeing the world. The light is coming in, and they're now aware of things that they weren't aware of before,
mhm.
right? So it is nobody else's fault but their own. If she wants to turn it around on us, then so be it. But we are not going to stoop to that level. I can tell you one thing that is a truth, a universal truth. Only liars have to defend themselves. The truth will never ever defend itself. The truth just is, right?
Mhm, 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 mhm. Somebody here says she's attempting to muzzle the intelligent while fascinating the ignorant.
Gotta do like Bongo Hill for that one.
So, Jehan, you know, we have the other Love March, that is Love Barbados March, that is coming up. And that's going to be on the 5th of April.
Mhm.
It's Saturday. We're starting, I don't know if Dave could put that up, Liquidation Center. And we are moving from Liquidation Center to Jemmots Lane.
Mhm.
And so you're saying to people not to let the PMs comment that the march is a hate for investments. Again, you know, hate for or against investments, right? That you know, they should not allow that to stop them from attending the march.
It is not a hateful march. It is a march based on the love of Barbados, the love of Barbados's culture, the love of Barbados's heritage, the love and appreciation for all of the struggles that we have been through that built this country, the love of all of the people who have contributed to it. Because when you go and you knock those structures down, you're disrespecting all the people that went through a whole lot of crap to
Mm-hmm.
put them there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You are destroying things that tourists themselves are excited to see. Nobody's going to be excited to see condominiums and hotels and high rises. There's
Mm-hmm.
actually enough of that right now. Regardless of what they say the numbers are, the numbers don't match. When you drive through Worthing or Whole Town or even in this neighborhood, Bridgetown,
Mm-hmm.
the numbers that we are being quoted do not match the reality. I seriously think that some of this stuff is being fabricated in order to sell the notion that we need to build more to accommodate more. But
Mm-hmm.
I will leave it back in your court where you're an accountant, so you follow the money.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you follow the money, we can't find where the money is going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
where is the money from all of this going to go? And then
Mm-hmm.
in the article, she's saying that she's going to work with credit unions and whatnot to cut people in on the deal because
Mm-hmm.
no, she has to, because that's just a form of bribery.
Right,
Look at
right,
the thing
right.
about you're getting $300. That's just a vote for me for $300 that you can lick out at Price Mart or Massey or wherever in 2 days. You
Yes.
understand? You can't do anything with that. Can't even scratch your backside with $300 in Barbados anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm urging people to really, there's no need to get angry, but just stand up. Just come out and show that you're there. All that is required of you is to just come up and stand up on the side of the road. We would prefer if you came and you shared your opinions, because opinions matter the most in something like this. And speak
Mm-hmm.
directly to her. We have to start speaking directly to her, and we shouldn't be afraid because she is not willing to speak directly to us. And by putting something that is completely infactual in the newspaper like that, it is obvious that she's not willing to speak directly to us. She's going to make us look like the bad guys. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
us, I mean all 280,000 of us, the children included. She does not care about having a logical, intelligent discussion about any of this. And that is the
Mm-hmm.
scary part, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. You know, it's so important that we be able to you know, just assess what is happening. And as you rightfully say, this is an issue. I was told that this gentleman, it is alleged, was called by one of their you know, somebody high ranking MPs to ask him why did he turn up there. Was very angry with him. Why did he turn up there in that shirt? You know, and this is what is killing them. This here is a picture that they don't want us, they don't want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. They need to reprint that shirt with some very small lettering at the bottom that says about herself, because that is exactly what it looks like. She's going to want, and you have to put things out. They have to say right out whenever you're dealing with somebody that is bullying you. You have to put it right out in the open that they might come after us, or they might want to bully us personally, or whatever the case is, so that when it happens, or
Mm-hmm.
if it happens, I should say, and the public is already looking for it. And when because the public is already looking for it because we've prefaced it by saying so, that takes their moves away. So we have to be
Mm-hmm.
outspoken about certain things and
Mm-hmm.
be like, look, do what you feel you gotta do. But we
Yeah.
are going to continue to do what is right regardless. We're not going
Yeah.
to stoop to your level. We are just going to sit here and continue to tell the truth and
Correct.
show people
Correct.
the truth and show them, as they say, bring the receipts and let people know.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Jehan, for joining us. And somebody say, "Love it," correct? And you've got to speak to that bully in your life.
Yeah.
You've got to speak to your that bully in your life. You got to be able to understand what it is, right? What time it is. But before you go, Jan, any thought about this young man who was shot on um uh, um uh yesterday?
I'll tell you what, it seems like everybody in Barbados got a gun except for me and you, Marcia. And I am
Mm,
trying to figure out how that is happening because even where I'm at in Brighton, I can sit inside of my house and I can hear gunshots going off from up in Deacons, the farm.
mm-hmm,
They're just out there like it's Independence Day, shooting off these things like fireworks for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
mm-hmm,
Where are they getting from? And it's the same people that are supposed to be holding them accountable know the answer to that question. They know where they're getting them from, and they're doing absolutely nothing about it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it comes across as though they just don't care about us. They don't care about the fate of these children, and nothing is being done to even figure out why they don't care. That's
mm-hmm.
the sad part. It's just
Yeah,
being swept under the rug, and Barbados is turning into a gun town. It's going to be, like I said in the chat, it's going to become like the Wild West around here very
mhm.
shortly. And
Yes,
you are coming from Jamaica, so you know exactly how Jamaica has ended up because of ignoring this problem.
correct.
Guns should be regulated. Nobody should be just walking around with an AK-47. That's ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Agree, agree. Well, and this is why on Saturday we are going to be walking, doing a solemn walk this Saturday, 29th at 10 a.m. from Kendall Hill Gas Station to Silver Hill Harcourt. And this is in the name of Shawnaton Chase and all the other young people who've lost their lives. And we're asking everybody to come out, all political parties. We're inviting the PM and our 29 MPs, the opposition leader, prospective candidates, all political parties to the solemn walk. All roads lead to Kendall Hill gas station, to Silver Hill Harcourt. That's what we're doing, because it takes all of us, Jehan, all of us, all race, all color, all creed, all religion, all of us. This is our Barbados.
Hmm. That's
Yes,
right. Barbados belongs to everybody.
yes, yes. Well, let me just thank you so much for joining us tonight, Jehan. Appreciate it, and appreciate your frankness, and thank you for the work that you do on the team that works on the Love Barbados March. Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Marcia.
Yes, bye bye. Well, there you have it, guys. There you have it. I thought it would be important for us to take a look at that and to understand exactly what really happened there in the newspaper. As we spoke today, I thought it'd be important for him to come on and to shed some light on that. Now we have Mr. Nigel Newton, who is going to be joining us tonight. Good night, Mr. Newton. How are you doing?
Oh, good night, Marcia. I'm doing fairly okay in one sense of the word, but hearing just now that the Prime Minister described our march as a love march out of hate.
A hate for investments.
A hate for investment. Are we able to bear any more investment? And at what cost? At what cost? And what about the social impact of overdevelopment? Now, you know, okay, let's take the Jemmots area. They have given that land over to foreign entities, so to speak. They're going to develop that area. A 8 or 9-story building there. When that building goes up and it blocks the oxygen from the sea over to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, how will the Queen Elizabeth Hospital receive natural ventilation? When that building goes up and they have to relocate the residents of the area, where are they going to put them? And what will be the cost to the people of that relocation? So it is not that we hate development, but the government must understand that there is a limit to development. And there is a limit to power. And I think really that the Prime Minister has too much power. And we are going to have to seek ways and means to limit her power and keep her in check. Because
or whoever is the PM that we, regardless, whoever is the PM, yeah.
Because, and being a leader, leadership is about setting an example and inspiring people to become the best they possibly can. But to come or go public and say that our march is a march of hate, what message are you sending to the world about yourself? And are we as citizens not to be concerned about what is happening in our country? And if what the government is doing is impacting our lives in a negative way, are we not morally obligated to say to the government, hey, no, you're going too far? Aren't we morally obligated to caution the government and pull the government back? Oh boy, it is tragic. It is tragic.
Yeah,
it is tragic.
Mr. Newton, you said something there about the hospital. And I didn't think about it that way. That when you have those, because what I read, and someone could correct me because I want to be able to speak truth. What I read was that there would be 2 12-story buildings. And you just said something which a lot of people don't think about, but the fact that breeze that comes across there, though, can affect even the people in the QEH hospital, and of course the people living in the community. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, okay, the building will be going up. I would think that would be the south of the hospital, where the breeze is, the oxygen, the air bearing the ozone from the sea is coming across the land and going through the hospital, because when you go to the hospital, you can actually feel that cool breeze coming across and keeping the hospital well ventilated. So when you put up that building along with other buildings, because I understand it would be a conference center, hotel, and other buildings going up, and they go up, they're going to block the oxygen, and then you have the pollution from the vehicles, which will be around the hospital. So the air is going to be polluted. And you're going to have patients in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital who will be inhaling all of the pollutants from the vehicles. So let me ask this question. Has she decided on development and putting up that building or giving away that land for the construction of those high-rise buildings to block the air out? She did that out of love? Was that done out of love?
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, interesting.
And one other thing, or two other things. When the prime minister, I'm sorry, when the prime minister canceled the over 1 billion debt from the national insurance, was that done out of love? When the parliamentarians got into parliament and they frustrated and blocked the leader of the opposition from investigating Hope, was that done out of love? And when we went to Washington to complain about the cybercrimes bill, the brutality and the seriousness of the cybercrimes bill. Okay, before we went, when we appealed to them to reconsider the cybercrimes bill, did they change the penalty from $70,000 to $100,000 and the imprisonment from 7 years to 10 years or both? Was that done out of love? And we as citizens are concerned, and rightfully so, about what is being done to Barbados. And you're going to say that we are expressing our concern out of hate? And in my view, investment and development, they are all subtle ways of recolonization. Because having given that Jemmots land plot of land to the African Exim Bank, and they also give them diplomatic immunity, and they can come in as they like and do as they like. They cannot be questioned by the police. You know, they have immunity from everything. Are we satisfied, or can we be satisfied that undesirable activities will not be conducted or carried on either directly or indirectly by persons coming into Barbados? We don't know, and I'm not accusing anybody, but development, investment, in my view, there are subtle ways of recolonization.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite interesting. I'm still you know, stuck on the hospital and the possible impact. And if somebody's asking here, Nigel, whether there was an environmental impact study that was done. I mean, the people who live around there, those are the people in the Bayland area. Correct me if I'm off, Nigel. And there you have Nelson Street that is close by. You have Wellington Street. I was up there the other day, and we walked around. I was so close to those areas. And in fact, the day before they had the opening, the ceremony there, the groundbreaking ceremony, someone was shot in Nelson Street. There were several people. There was a shootout in Nelson Street. And I wondered to myself, how is all of that going to work together? And no, I mean, I was thinking about that aspect of it, but now you're talking about the hospital. Do you have any comments on the, you know, just all those surrounding areas? that we know are trouble areas.
Well, that makes it worse, Marcia, because when the high-rise building goes up, when they by government headquarters, let's go back up to the garrison, and
Yes.
the high-rise buildings go up by the garrison, then by the government headquarters. You come down
Mm,
to Jemmots Lane, another high-rise, and then you go to opposite base where Mrs. Ram Place was, Lower Broad Street. You set up
mm,
another high-rise building there, and you go right away down to the harbor, and you establish these high-rise buildings all along that corridor. You see how you see the
mm.
amount of
Go again and
oxygen.
take it slow, because a lot of us, I've said that I would love for someone to draw it out. I wonder if Mr. Knox would be able to do that for us. But do it again. Go, so we're at Garrison. Take us down the road.
The garrison.
So
You
we have a
come down.
high rise
Yes,
at Garrison. Mm-hmm.
you come down to government headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
You put up the 8 or 9 story building there. Then you go down to Jemmots Lane. You put up another one.
12
You go
story.
down. Yes, you put up another one by Mrs. Ram Place. Stolen land.
Mm-hmm.
You put up one there, and then you go all the way down. Now, can you imagine or can you visualize all of those high-rise buildings up there on the sea coast, blocking the oxygen from the sea from coming in to refresh the land so that everyone in land can have pure oxygen to breathe. Then when you add the amount of fumes,
Mm.
the fumes from the vehicles that would be building up in that area, what is going to happen to our health? What is going to happen to the patients in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital who desperately need to be in a healthy environment, breathing oxygen rather than pollutants? Can you visualize that?
Wow.
And am I to understand that the government and the Prime Minister is putting up all of those high-rise buildings without, as far as I'm concerned, without a proper environmental impact study? Am I to understand that she is doing that out of love?
Mm-hmm. 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 And as you're saying that, as you mentioned, that it's a very serious conversation we're having. I remember, that I think it was uh, JEHAN who was saying to me how someone, he saw a tourist, and the tourist was on the beach and was praying. And as the tourist was, as he was passing the tourist said, well, this is such a good, this is so beautiful, this beach, and they feel so close to God, and so on. And I've been thinking about that. And I know that oftentimes when I want to pray or to connect to God, I would walk down to the beach here, and just sit there and just commune, connect with God right there. And so, every time we close off the windows to the sea, it's almost like we're closing off those windows that connect us to God, are one
Yeah.
of the ways that we connect ourselves to God, and we connect our souls, and we connect our spirits, and so I think that this is something that, people, we can't quantify that. So they're going to say, oh, you're against investments, and you're against, but this is real for us Barbadians. It's real for us to be able to, before work, you want to go and you want to just go sit down and meditate a little bit, or you want to just walk down and go take a dip in the sea. And if when we're driving along the West Coast, we recognize what's happening is that we have just a few places that you could go to the beach. You
Mhm.
understand? And it's so different. Look at the West Coast and compare it to Bay Street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
when you compare it, and so all of that is going to look like the West Coast and more. And that and I think that there is also, Nigel, that spiritual connection that people are concerned about.
Not only the spiritual connection, Marcia, but as I said before, one of the most sacred pastime for Barbadians is going to the beach and having a bath.
Yes.
When all of these high-rise buildings go up on this on the beachfront, they are automatically going to become gated communities. We will not be able to go freely to the beach any longer. And the other aspect of health that we have to consider is the psychological impact of being deprived of that most sacred pastime. And there is no price tag to a sea bath.
Mm-hmm.
There is no price tag to the emotional and psychological and spiritual value that we can obtain from going to the beach and listening to the waves coming in and crashing, watching the seagulls floating through the air, watching the sprats or maybe another kind of fish flying through the air, the whole ambience. There is no price tag to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the psychological pain and agony that is going to develop in us. And not only that, Marcia, but then when we are forced inland now and we have to coexist in a crowded inland area, we are going to be like crabs in a barrel fighting each other because
Mm-hmm.
there will be no space, there will be no. Oh, it will be so traumatic, Marcia.
Yes.
We have to find ways and means to limit the power of government, and we have to redefine development, because development is not necessarily high-rise buildings. What about social development, social construction? And the other thing, Marcia, I know you have to go now, but the other thing I think, and it relates to the crime situation,
Yes.
we as a nation and as a government should be focusing more on social construction and nation building.
Mm-hmm.
But all of these things require sagacious leadership, and Barbados is at a loss for leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that we can have a prime minister who is visionary, who can lead us and help us as a nation to accomplish and to fulfill our destiny individually and as a nation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow, this has been very powerful, Nigel. Very, very powerful. And I know that you've changed what you had to say a little bit because of what has happened. We can't turn a blind eye to what happened last night. And I think we can work with two hands, right, Nigel? As we
Yes.
look at what's happening or loss there of lives through gun violence, we can also look at our loss of land or loss of our soul or belonging of who we are. We're losing that as well. And
Yes.
that's why I say we're a nation in mourning. We are not just mourning the loss of little Shawnaton Chase, but we are mourning the loss of our land, of who we are, of our heritage. And I think that that is important. Colvin is saying your ideas are great, but if you don't have the younger generation going along with you, nothing is going to change. Calvin, you are so right. You are so right, Calvin. And that's why we try our best to get the youth involved in many ways. I mean, we just had JEHAN on, who is a much younger person. He's a millennial, and you will see some of the millennials coming tonight. But you have made a very, very important point there, that we need the young people involved. Invite them out to the marches, explain to them what it's all about, and and get everybody involved. Nigel, what's your final word before you go tonight?
Well, I must extend my condolences to the family. It is really heartbreaking. Our future, a 13-year-old, was taken away from us under tragic circumstances. But I will say, and you see, finally, I would say that many people are asking for the police to do this, the police to do that, and the police need to do that, do whatever and whatever. But I think as a nation, we need to pause and give serious consideration to where we want to go as a nation. And as far as the young people are concerned, I think that we need to, the age of adulthood is said to be 18,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe that before, if I, this is something I need to give further thought to, but I think we need to do something about training the young men and the
Mm.
young ladies for adulthood. We
Yes.
should not just say, well, because you're 18 years old, you are now a man. No, I
Mm.
think a period of training, or in fact, rite of passage, we need to develop rites of passage to help the young men to understand what it is to be an adult, what it is to be a man, what it is to
Yes.
be a woman, and so on and so on. But I will give you further information on that. But I wish everyone well, and I empathize with the family.
Yes, most definitely. And as I said, we can do both things. We can be ambidextrous. We can use two hands. Thank you so much, Mr. Newton. Very powerful session. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
God bless. And folks, we have breaking news. I don't know if Dave can check his WhatsApp. Let me just make sure that that goes to him, that he can put it up on the screen. Can you imagine in this time of mourning that we would have another shooting at Lower Estate, folks? This is according to Starcom News. This is according to Starcom News. There is another shooting at Dave. You have it in your WhatsApp there. Another shooting at Lower Estate, folks. Would you believe this is Barbados? I would have thought that something like this would happen, that people will begin to probably sit down and think of their actions. There is another shooting tonight self, as they would say, at Lower Estate. This just in, Starcom Network has confirmed that there's been a police involved shooting in the area of Roberts Manufacturing. Okay, so there was somebody who was shot and apprehended. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. Well, I'm hoping that they are getting that person. But I want to ask us Barbadians. I want to ask Barbadians something. Can we pause for a little bit? I want to do something a little different tonight. I want to ask each and every one of us tonight, what can you do? What can I do to help with this situation? I'm hearing that there in 12 weeks we've had 13 deaths, 13 killed by gun violence, either 13 in 12 or 12 in 13. I want to ask us, as we are here tonight, I want to ask us a question. Before we look at the policies, yes, we're going to look at policies tonight, etc. What can you do? What can I do? In my sphere of influence, what can I do? It's very easy to point a finger, and it's very easy to blame the government. It's very easy to blame the church. It's very easy to blame leaders. It's very easy to blame the leader of the opposition and blame this and blame that and blame everybody. Can we just get a mirror right now? Use your phone as a mirror. Use your phone and look at yourself. What is it? What is it that you can do? And you're correct. The shooting that I put up, someone sent it to me as just as we were on. So let's be clear about that. It's not a new shooting. It's the same one that happened this evening. All right. So my apologies for that. Okay. That's why I like to look at my stuff before I get on. Somebody sent me and it was not correct. And I put it up, and I like to tell the truth. And if I did something and it's not correct, I'm going to tell you that it was not correct. Okay. So that shooting happened before the show. I thought that it had just happened based on how it came in my phone. Okay. So my apologies on that. But thank you, Judith Ann. 12 homicide in 13 weeks. 12. So we are almost having one per week. One per week. I would love to know from us. And you know what? I'm going to even go ahead and open the lines just a little earlier for those who want to call in. Let me just make sure we're set up properly for that. Right? So I would love to be able to hear from people. Somebody, you all are so funny. I have to laugh, but it's a serious thing. But back to what we were talking about though. There are 12 homicides in 13 weeks. As a Barbadian, I know what image conjures up what comes in my mind. Honestly, I know that when I hear this. Because I told you the way I grew up. I'm not afraid to tell you my business, you know. So when they're ready to go to get laundry, I already told you how I grew up. You understand? So I would like to know from you, what can you do? What can I do? What can I do in my community? What can I do through my church? What can I do through my school if I'm a teacher? Is there something extra that I can do as a grandmother, as a mother, as an auntie, as an uncle? So we're looking at everybody tonight, you know. Listen, the big finger, this is it here. We're pointing back at ourselves because we're quick to blame the government. We're quick to blame the police. We're quick to blame everybody except ourselves. We make the society. Okay. Yes, there are some laws and policies that have to be changed. We can't make it partisan. Okay. But can I just put some stuff in the chat? Somebody says, I remember way back the US had the FBI. Okay, so I don't want to talk about those things yet. We're going to get there, 1949 saves. But I really want us to take it personal first. Kenny Bess, how can you help with this? How can you, Kenny Bess, help with getting rid of illegal drug use? Kenny Best. Don't think about the government now. Don't think about the police. I am just asking, we're going to get to them. Don't think that we're not going to get to them. I'm not that naive to think that we can do this without them, but I just am asking at a personal level. So for me, in terms of the illegal drug use, one of the things that I do, you know, as I see young people, I'm always talking to them. There are some children who come around even to our dance school that we find that they are having real struggles at home. And those children, you take them a little closer, you work a little more in depth with those children. So those are things that we're doing, not to come on here to list out all the things that we're doing, but since we're talking, you know, if I'm in my community and I see young men, I would always stop, you know, I try my best to have conversation. I try my best to understand them, you know. What else can we do? Can you do in your, these are some of the things that I'm doing. What can you do? What can I do? I'm not seeing any comments. Folks, it's not just the government, you know. I agree with the Prime Minister. I do agree with the Prime Minister when she says it's going to take a collective effort. I agree with the opposition leader who says that this must concern everyone in the nation, regardless of party. So yes, I understand that, Abe, that okay, somebody says teaching the, okay, so let's look at Kenny Best, what Kenny Best is saying. Folks, I want us to think about it. I want us to seriously think about it. Let's go through the exercise together. And I'm not in any hype, you know. I'm not in a hype. I'm in hype. I'm not coming on here for hype. I'm about solutions. So I'm asking us, forget about the government. If we are to take the Prime Minister at her word and said we need to do it together, the opposition leader says this involves everybody. And if we're to take him at his word, what can you do? Teaching the children of the ills of drugs. Okay, so that's what Kenny, you could do that in your community. Think about how you can actually do it. Not how somebody else, how you could start something in your community. Is it possible? Can you work with the church that you're involved in? Yeah. Thank you. Kenny is answering. We need to go into the schools and do pep talks from early. How about, can some of you do that? Good job, Kenny. Good job. Black Coolie 9 is saying parent education is going to be more difficult, but we must begin there. Black Coolie 39. Black Coolie 39, let me ask you, is this something that you could actually start or be involved in? Can you take the idea to your church or a community group? Are you with the Kiwanis? Are you with, what can you actually do? The PM says it's going to take a collective effort, and the leader of the opposition says it involves everybody. So parent education. So how do we break that down? Can you start in your home? Are you a dad? Are you a mother? Are you a grandmother? Black Coolie grandfather? Right? Can we do that? Black Coolies answered, each one must teach one. Teach your parents, they can identify the drugs, okay, and how to speak to their children. So how are we going to get it done? And how is it that you can do it? Because remember, now, can you imagine if we're all mobilized? We're all from different communities. If I am mobilized in my community and you are mobilized in your community and I mobilize in my home, how about in my home? Okay. Okay, Abe is saying that too many families are in poverty. Okay, and okay. So, all right. So, Abe, what is it that you can do? Is there anything you could do about that? Right. I agree. A police can't solve all of these problems. Like now the police apprehended somebody this evening. The police can go and do that. But the police can't solve all of our problems. And trust me, the government cannot solve all of our problems. That's the reality. Regardless of who is in power. They can't solve. There's some things that the citizens themselves that have to do. I have a caller here. Caller, welcome.
Yes, good night, Queen Marcia.
Welcome, sir.
This is Traverse City,
Yes, sir.
also
Welcome,
known
welcome.
also known as the Bajan Eagle.
Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. I think this is your first time calling in.
Yes, the first time calling in. I've been there in other different sessions. Back in 2024, 23. I'm there. But it's the first time calling in.
Yes, well,
And
welcome. We really appreciate it.
yes,
Right, we're talking tonight specifically about, well, this part of the show, about what is it that we can do. The Prime Minister says it's going to take a corporate effort, and the leader of the opposition says that this involves everybody in Barbados. So what can you do, Mr. Seeley?
well, I have a lot to say, and it's going to sound quite different. I tend to look at life a little different to a lot of people. And I tend to go a little deeper than a lot of people. I don't want to go too deep tonight because
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
not too deep, not too deep, and we don't have a whole lot of time, right?
I know. Well, this morning, let me just first congratulate you for the work that you have been doing.
Thank
You
you.
and the team in this
And the
country.
team. Yes, the team.
You're building a legend that and you're making a difference in all factors of our life in Barbados, and really appreciate it. And I'm really thankful to be allowed this opportunity to at least speak my mind on what's going on. Now, first, let me start with this morning. This morning, I got up and checked my WhatsApp, and then I saw this news about this young man, 13-year-old young man shot. It said that he was carried to the hospital, and then later on, the message was he's dead. Then a picture of him came, and I saw the picture, and it hurt me. We have gotten to this stage where you're going out to have a little party, a little fete, a little, and or to watch a netball game, and your life is taken away. 2 bullets, 3 bullets. I mean, doing anybody anything. And I said enough. I said to myself, enough is enough. We as a people need to look at ourselves and really look at what we're doing and really focus on making a change, because we're going down. I wrote an article not too long ago called In the Hole. It feels like Barbados is going into a hole, deeper hole, right? And we need to find a way to get out. We need to unify ourselves and stop this division. I mean, division doesn't help us. We aren't going to grow from division. You'll fall apart. And the only way we can grow together is if we unite. Everybody hold hands and work together, because we can't continue like this. I mean, that could have been my daughter. When I read about the father coming from from the hospital, I mean, that could have been me. That could have been you. You know, who's next? My child? Your child? Who's next? Right? And I come from a background of solution-focused approach.
Yes.
I was a manager at one point in a big company, and issues will always come up. But I tell people, don't just bring the issue, bring the solution.
Solutions. So let me ask you tonight. Let me ask you tonight, Mr. Seeley. You know, I know you're a busy individual. But what is it? Have you thought yet? You know, the Prime Minister said it's a collective effort. The leader of the opposition says it involves all of us. First of all,
Yeah.
do you believe it? Do you believe it's a collective effort and that it involves all of us?
Of course, of course.
So what
I
can
mean,
we do? What
I-
what can you do in your sphere of influence?
this is what I do. I
Mhm.
point people to how to deal with problems. That's the first thing.
Mhm.
How to deal with problems. You look
Mhm.
at the root cause. The root cause is not guns. The root cause is not knives. The root cause is the heart. If you target the heart, you don't have everybody got a gun. Nobody can shoot one another. If you target the heart and you change the heart, how do you change the heart? Hollywood itself has been doing that for years. Hollywood brings up movies that influence people and changes culture. Just movies, giving
Mhm.
people a different approach, giving people heroes that make a difference. Today, the heroes are bad guys, are the bad guys. Everything's switched around. We need to get back to basics. One, two, we need to select those people. I'm not talking the educated class. The educated class, they. I have so much to say. Let me say this part here. Being educated is not the answer. If you educate a fool, you will end up with an educated fool. It takes wisdom. It takes wisdom and guidance, and it starts with a foundation, and that foundation has to be God.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
These so-called experts come up with solutions left, right, and center, but they fail and fail. And this is years now. Look at where we are.
So you're saying that the solution is God. Now, Claretta Payne, let me
Of course.
hold you for another 2 minutes on here. Claretta Payne, welcome Claretta to the show. Claretta says, "Good night. We can shut the church doors for one Sunday, go in the community, greet and knock at the door, showing unity and strength for our brothers and sisters." What do you think about that idea?
uh, we need to try everything. I will not be against I will not be against any idea. As long as we're trying and fighting forward,
Mm-hmm.
that idea can work. But it's not only that.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find out put ourselves in a mindset that we work together as a collective and hopefully bring the change that we need to see. But
Yes.
that's not one thing. It's a number of things there's several things we need to do. And
Yes.
another chief aim is look at where the fathers are.
Mm-hmm.
And the fathers are missing. A lot of these young men are well and doing as they please in this country. A lot of them, if you check it, the fathers is a missing component to their life. That's another serious thing that we need to
So
look at.
what would you say to fathers that are listening right now?
I would say right now, and given the time, be there for your children.
Mm.
Your children, you know, they say it shouldn't happen, but it happened. Your children are the ones that are going to look after you. So look after them. Come in your turn. Come, they'll be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, be
So,
there for
yeah.
your children. So as a father, you want
Yeah,
to say that. Well, Mrs. Steely,
of
let me
course.
tell you, thank you for joining us tonight. I can hear the pain.
Yeah.
And it's good for the men to speak up and to be able to express what they're feeling. That's a big part of this whole thing as well, you know, the healing and the restoration and getting up and doing something. Sometimes a lot of people are still feeling so much pain, Mr. Seeley, that they can't get up and do something about their situation.
Just one last one.
Yes.
We see issues and we talk and talk and talk. And then after a week, it's gone. It disappears. No. If you see an issue, put it on a board. Look up at different solutions or approaches, and have it on a board. That you have it in front of you, and don't just talk about it and leave it because you find yourself back in the same situation again. Put it in front of in front of you. Get a collective group of people together to work on it, and bring solutions. Let's have
Yes.
solutions.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Thank,
Okay.
thank you so much,
And
Mr. Seeley. Thank you for
have a good
calling.
night and continue
Yes. Thank
doing
you.
what you're doing.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you. Okay, that was Mr. Seeley bearing his heart with us. I know a lot of us. Are you hearing me well now, guys? Are you hearing me well? Okay, we have another caller. Good night, caller.
Hi, good night, Marcia. Good night to you, opposition.
Okay.
I quite agree with.
Wait, you're sounding as though are you near a fan or anything like that?
No, my fan is off. Everything is off.
Okay. The sound, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
I quite agree with what Mr. Seeley say. You know, and what Claretta, I think the name you brought up was Claretta.
Yes.
Yes, I agree also with what Claretta said, because I think that we can do more. I think that the people that we put in charge to be our policy makers have failed.
Okay, before you get there, I want to ask you,
yes.
Adrian. I must call your name. I want to ask you, sir, because I saw your name. No. I want to ask you on a serious note, though. What is it that you could contribute? What can you do before you get to the policy? I want to ask you, what can you do to solve this? To be part of the solution.
Well, what I am currently doing, what I have been always doing, in my own community, I would go to all, because I'm well known in the community, I would go to all the fellas and all the young ladies for the block. I would have started trying to teach them a little home act, like how to do, because I'm not about crocheting, and I have a friend of mine that would help me in this effort to try to get some of these young girls off the block as well, because it's not really widely reported, but we have quite a few females that go on the block as well. Quite a few of them. You will be surprised, Marcia.
Yes.
You know, and you know, you might hear about the fellas, but they have girls that want to feel a part of the crowd. They want to be a part of the so-called crew, as they call it. And I try to talk to them and tell them that it's a better way, and there is a better way to go about your daily life as a young woman. You can contribute better into the society by doing legal work, cake making, pastries, what have you. And then you can even further your studies, because I do believe there's a place at the hospitality institution for such people. Yes. You understand? And the Polytechnic, and I talk to them. It's not, you think it's cool. Don't let peer pressure get to you. And that's the little I can do. I go around, talk to them, and a lot of them listen to you. I will tell you this, a lot of them listen to you, a lot of them listen to me, because a lot of them familiar with who I am and hearing me elsewhere. So they like to listen to me, but I wonder if it really gets through to them, or if it just warms one ear and out the next. I won't know.
But you keep trying. You keep, and I thank you so much for what you are saying. Somebody here is saying, well, there was an important one I wanted. Okay, it's moved. Okay, but now can you just quickly in a minute tell me about some of the policies now after you've told me what you
basically do. No problem. Very quickly, because you know. I'm so angry at what happened to that young man, and I hope that, and I don't feel the way of saying this. I hope that those animals, the law will catch them quickly, and they will be dealt with in a very severe fashion, not just to go up there remand and then what. We get a nice speech from the PM, and then what? We had it about the 12-year-olds. So that's what ties in with the policies. The policy makers have failed us, where they were all warned back then by another former PM by the name of David Thompson. When he warned them all about crime and violence, nobody want to listen. Oh, that doesn't exist in Barbados. I don't think you were living here yet. That doesn't exist in Barbados. Oh, no way. And they made a lot of fun and joke and thing. No, there's no jokes to be made.
Yeah.
It must be taken seriously. It can happen to your family, it can happen to my family.
Yes.
So I think this march that they're going to happen, that we need to make happen, is going to happen. I think it is even more imperative, Marcia, that a march must take place. And with the aim of this, I humbly suggest that the Attorney General step down from his duties because he is not performing them as he should. I thank you. God bless you,
Thank you
Marcia.
so much.
Keep
God
up the
bless.
good work.
Thank
Good.
you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So he's asking in terms of you know, some of the changes that would need to be made is that the Attorney General, in his opinion, should step down. What do you all think about that? But before you tell me what you think about that, I want to hear what you are going to do. Now, I love this one. My perspective says, what I do, you notice what I do is work with the children in my community, homework assistance, helping out financially, and just being that home in the community where children and neighbors feel welcome. That's what this person does. Okay. So remember, if you're going to call, you're first going to talk about yourself, what you're going to do, and then we can always talk about what your other suggestions. Okay. I have another caller on the line. Caller, good night.
Good night to you, Marcia.
Good night, sir. Can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Yes, I'm hearing you, and welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Yes. Now, this incident of violence there, you can look at it from many perspectives.
Yes.
A whole heap of perspectives. I don't know which one to choose from. But I was thinking, normally I'm in good equilibrium, mentally and psychologically. I'm 86 years old. Normally I'm in that condition. What was the last thing that really unbalanced me, got me angry? You want to know what it is? I did research on that African bank. Extremely wealthy, extremely prosperous bank. Guess what? Quotation. Between 2015 and 2023, they paid out $150 billion to their shareholders. All right, that got me angry. What also got me angry? That here is a country that borrows, we're virtual beggars. Whatever the prices to land there at, in Jemmots land, if it costs a penny, let us sell it for the penny. And that penny will go into the treasury and support welfare. But I understand the government has cut back welfare. So if you cut back welfare, the people that get welfare are poor people. What we have now to look at, the young man, I don't know who did the killing. I don't know his family. I don't know what social class he's from. He had to be a dysfunctional young man for some reason. Did his dysfunction come from poverty? That was he raised in a deprived family? And I can tell you about deprivation because at my age at 86, I won't have to tell you anything growing up in Barbados. I know what deprivation. When I was growing up, I saw it and how it triggered violence and frustration. I saw fellas when I was growing up fighting with knives, men beating their wives. I saw that in Barbados. So therefore, let us look at the cause. And I believe I will finish now. I can go on for the whole night and look at all kinds of perspectives.
Yes.
Well, the last thing I'm going to say.
Yes, sir.
I had experience in psychology and psychiatry in England where I was trained. And when they introduced me to Freud, the psychoanalysis, one of the things that I was taught, that the leader, meaning the leader of a country, a political leader, that person that person is seen by many of the citizens as the mother figure or the father figure. And what they do in psychology, the citizens, some of them, who are dependent, low self-esteem, they invest and transfer their feelings, their hopes and everything in that leader. And that leader, as far as I am concerned, the remedy for this country, at least at a symbolic level, that I am asking Rob Thorne, the DLP or whoever you said, on that march, you have to come and demand the resignation of the Prime Minister. That is going to solve the problem. She is the problem.
Okay.
She has to go.
Okay.
And if Ross doesn't do it, I'll be very disappointed. If you don't do it, I'll be very disappointed.
So you're calling for the resignation of the Prime
Oh,
Minister?
yes, I'm calling because from a psychoanalysis position, I told you that was part of my training in England. From a psychoanalysis position, hello?
Yes, I'm right here. We're hearing you.
That the leader at the top of the apex in Dogon culture, in West Africa, study the Dogon culture, go read Dogon culture in West Africa, that the leader is responsible for the moral tone of the country. And if that leader is found not up to scratch, they asked to leave.
Okay.
In Dogon culture, they give the leader 10 years to be the leader. After 10 years in Dogon culture, that leader has to go. And it believes that Miss Morley, with all her gifts and whatever, that symbolically she's the wrong person. And I'm calling on the PLP members. I don't care now I'm 86, but they can do anything to me. I'm calling on the BLP members, if they have any moral standards, to form some organization to get rid of her. She is the problem. I done with that.
Okay. Wow. Sir, I want to thank you for calling. I could hear his anger. He's gone. I didn't get to ask him what he could do personally. He's so angry. And I understand that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And lots of people are agreeing that the current leader needs to be removed, but needs to resign. Now, folks, I know how you feel, and I understand that, but I don't want us to forget the personal response to this, the collective responsibility that the Prime Minister is asking for, and what the opposition leader is saying as well. I don't want us to forget that, but I won't be tone deaf either to what you are all saying. I'm seeing here Mr. ZICO John has joined us. Good night, Mr. John. You're muted. Good night. You're muted, ZICO. Unmute.
Yeah. Hi, good night. Hi, good night, viewers. How's everyone doing?
We're well. We're
Nice.
Are you listening to me on another device?
No. You're getting feedback?
Yes. You want to go and try again?
Let me go again and come back.
Yes. Okay. Let me let this caller come in. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. Yeah, we just had a little trouble there with that caller. What's going on here? Okay, let me just try and get this caller for you. We are having a little challenge there with this caller. Call is dropping.
Yes, good night.
Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Yes, you without calling my name, not that you can't call it, but I would rather not.
Yes.
You
okay.
you ask about who can help and people and what people can do. Now you're looking at a former police officer.
Yes, sir.
And a person who would have made the things list in law and society and a master's in music. The reason I'm saying that purposely is this. You don't come back to a country, be told by commissioning ranks, oh, well, military have to get you off the mark. And persons in close proximity to be heard saying, oh, nothing belongs to Millington, I ain't touching. And where I'm going with this is that there are people in the diaspora who can help. But if this is the response that you are getting from persons on the ground, you have to ask if the country really wants to be helped. And the other thing is that how could a person do both undergrad and masters and then be told by a same commissioning person that they are a fly in the ointment, don't look for any promotion? No, you have to understand that. Well, I wouldn't even go into much further with that. But I'm going to tell you that Barbados and Barbadians, both in Barbados and the diaspora, have solutions. It is if people on the ground are willing, because if you cannot have political operatives hand in glove in the criminal element, you are literally intimidating law enforcement. The police officers sleep too. You know, they don't sleep in the air. And you ask what we can do, we have to start being real. That's one of the first things that the public can do to help crime to get down. Start being real and relevant, and stop what they call siding with the criminal element. You cannot side with the criminal element and then still want to be the solution against it too. You can't be the abuser. You cannot be the abuser of people and then be the solution. It can't work. Choose one. You can't do both. So that is one of the main things that is happening. And then the last thing I would say is that the police force needs to have a proper salary. You cannot have persons coming into the police force between the ranks of constable and sergeant and getting under 3,000 or under 2,000 in 2025.
Oh wow!
I believe.
You mean a month?
Per month, which is why I call pittance. You have to pay you. Look,
you mean like between $2,000 to $3,000 a month?
Well, I didn't stammer. You are looking at the evidence is there to show you. The only persons that get what I think, and that is not even, you can't even give that salary to any international media. Maybe what the station sergeants would get, maybe in the 5,000 area. But I believe that police officers need to have a proper salary when they must come and tell the Attorney General to stop talking about women coming into the police. It is not that women are coming more than men. It is that when the police do the vetting, they are realizing that more men are involved with the criminal element. And I'm not saying that women are too, because some are too. But the Attorney General has to be truthful when he is making these assessments and stop trying to make the people feel that, and stop trying to make the people feel that the men are not coming forward. It's not that the men are not coming forward. Is that something to you? Men, you know, the characters that they're dealing with and stuff. So the Attorney General needs to be truthful when he's speaking and stop trying to be speaking in partiality.
Okay, and you're saying, so was that, I mean, I don't know how long you left the profession, but I mean, that
2 years, 2022.
Right,
Man,
so I guess we don't change it. So you're telling me that the police, listen to this ZICO is here, listen, the police, they start at like $2,000 to $3,000 a month? Is that what is correct?
But that has nothing, of course it is so correct, but that has nothing to do with when taxes are taken out and if a police officer plans to have a child or two, or if he's renting something. What I'm trying to say is that the dispossession, or I should say the disenfranchisement, that's the better word, of the police, which is supposed to be the persons protecting you. You cannot have police officers wondering where the next minute coming from and still got to worry about protecting the country. The police officers need to be paid properly, and you see the whole practically what Kendall talking about. like a 1% increase or 2% increase
Yeah.
is unjust where the people that have a lot of money can say, no, the salaries from station or inspector don't have to be raised. Raise the salaries from constable to sergeant or station sergeant. You know, the persons on the ground who are going to interact with people in dangerous situations are the ones that should be properly paid.
Wow.
What about that? What
That's
about
a serious
that?
thing. That is quite serious.
Of course.
Wow.
And then the last thing before I leave, because I know some people will start to get saying no. The last thing is fitness. You know, you go and study this and get back. You can't have a situation. I don't care how you could be best shot. If you can't run from here, if you can't run 50 meters, if you cannot run 50 meters or 100 meters, don't hold on and panting. Who can you save? You can't even run this. You cannot even save yourself.
Oh.
So this is real talk that needs to happen. That is not happening. A lot of people talking about polish, a lot of polish talk, but the country needs real and relevant scrutiny of not only national security, but the way forward to get the country rid of its criminal elements.
Wow.
That's enough. That's all I have to say for now.
This is eye-opening. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller. Now, I'm seriously, honestly shocked that somebody saying not 1,900 take-home pay a month. You know about this, ZICO?
I refuse to believe that. That's insulting. That is ridiculous. I refuse to believe it. No, I refuse to believe that.
But he's a former police, and I don't know if somebody, Miss McLean, somebody send me something because I don't want to be. This can't be real. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say
that's insulting.
Huh?
That's insulting. That's insulting. That could open a whole heap of problems. Corruption with police. Police starting to steal just so they could be able to support them family. I think that's ridiculous.
Wow.
That's like, it's no one nobody wants to step up to be a police.
Wow. This is because they're saying that they're not getting any men. So obviously, I mean, a man is not going to want to go into work for that and risk their life.
It's not attractive at all. It's not attractive.
Oh my God! Somebody
the
saying
amount of stress you can be going through, the amount. Oh my God.
Whew. Oh my goodness! So it seemed like it's between $2,000 to $3,000 before tax. Anywhere between that they're getting, and when the taxes come out, some of them are going home with $1,900 a month. This can't be. I mean,
which is insulting.
Okay, people are saying that is the truth, and I'm just going by what the caller said and what everybody else is saying. And if anybody in my panel can know of this, Miss McLean knows a lot of things. Miss McLean, message me please, and so that we don't put out. I can't fathom this though. But let me let you talk while I'm in my what.
That one threw me off. That's insulting. Wow. But with this incident that happened yesterday, I think this is ridiculous. There's no words that I could say, or I think anybody could say to really describe the hole that Barbados is in right now when it comes to violence. It's one much more digestible when people who much easier to digest. Not acceptable, but it's easier to digest. But when innocent people getting involved and losing their life, especially children as well, this is where we know we got a serious problem and it needs to be addressed. And it needs to be addressed holistically, not just in terms of party or the police or institution or church. I think it needs to be helped and dealt with as a whole, in a holistic manner, in terms of the community, everybody, all hands on deck. I think the person who did it needs to turn himself in.
One second, hold your thought. Don't forget, this is the call-in section here. So I want you to just hold the point. Don't forget, Mr. ZICO, John. But let me let the caller come through. Caller, good night. Good night, caller.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, sir. Welcome.
This is Victor Anthony Simon Young.
Yes.
Yes,
sir. Good night. Welcome.
I am going to clarify what that ex-officer said. It is totally true. That is totally correct.
Wow.
The policeman cannot take home $3,000 a month. I was a former fire officer, and I was taking home in the early 60s. When I went in, I was getting $75 a month. And nothing has totally changed where the police is concerned, because in those days, I was also connected to the police and fire department. We had the same opportunities of arrest and so forth, because Island Council was instated in our contract. So that guy, and I know him, I would not call his name because he didn't call his name, but he's totally correct. So don't throw your hands in the air and think that that is anything that is not happening. That is happening. I'm telling you, some guys leave the force and go and work as security guards and get more money as a salary to take home than a police officer. I am talking about security guards who get more money in their hands than police officers. This is what you see. A good set of the police officers go to be a security guard either at the university or something like that.
Wow. Now, let me ask you something. You're our senior, you're our elder, and we need to listen to our elders. What, I mean...
No guy.
Go ahead.
No guy in the force who's got a family and is paying a mortgage and that kind of thing cannot survive off of that. This is why you see a lot of the police officers, the younger guys, get into this criminal activity. They get bribes, and this is what is happening. So, as I said, the whole country is sick. Don't let anybody fool you. I am telling you, politicians are just corrupting countries. That's all they do, corrupt countries. And some of them, they sit in the same bed as the criminals, because the criminals protect them, and some of them know that if you say anything against them, they can get a guy to come and maybe take you out, and the case will never be heard. They will never find that guy. Don't let these politicians think they can fool people. They may not like what I'm saying, but I'm saying the fact because I'm afraid of none of them. I always tell them, nobody wants to die.
Yes.
So there's no sense sending nobody because nobody wants to die.
Okay, Mr. But let me ask you, Mr. Young, as our elder, and I really appreciate you calling in. What do you think is the most important thing that we need to do to stem this situation? We've had 12 murders in 13 weeks, sir.
Listen to me. You know what we need to do?
Yes, sir.
Stop coming with the pretty, I am going to use the word, the pretty bullshit talk. Stop doing it and put action where it should be put. We are bullshitting so much.
So where do you think the action needs to be put?
The action needs to give the police the free hand and opportunity to do what they have to do, and stop having a position that when they do what they want to do, certain people shift them and transfer them to stations or remove them from the particular profession and put them in some kind of other area. That is what is happening. A lot of these forces, their hands are tied. They don't want to come out and tell you that. But that is the whole fact in this country. But they can't fool people like me. I've been here for 87 years. So I would know what I'm talking about. I've seen it all.
87 years. Well, you know...
My son was in the police department and the task force as a sergeant. Yes, he got injured because of the volcano thing. He slipped down and hurt his back. And he had to send in he had to resign. Not resign, but he had to get terminated because with a back injury, and he had twice, I think, 2 serious back injuries. And he knew he couldn't really perform as he wanted to, because he was very dedicated Because I give him all the tips. I tell him how to watch himself and do everything in the department. Because let me tell you something. Sometimes you go to a particular call, and from the time you get there, you can't enter because somebody tell the guy, man, you got these people coming to you now. Yeah. So if you go there, you can't find some of them can never enter certain people's properties. And I tell you, certain dignified people in this country, when the police run down the fence and then they can't enter the house, they can't enter the property.
Yeah.
Got to turn back.
Yeah.
That
So
is what's on in Barbados. It was going on and still going on.
Yeah, so you believe that to give the police first, pay them better and allow them to do their job.
And allow the police to do their job.
To do their job.
No attorney general or nobody should be in charge of the police department. The commissioner of police should have its full authority to do the job, and they're not going to come and tell you because they're afraid. They're not going to come and tell that their hands are tied. Don't mind them coming and saying nonsense. Attorney general, they're not going to come and tell you what I'm telling you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any of them can come and silence me on that.
Yes, sir. We hear you. Well, thank you so much, Senior Elder. We call you Elder at 87.
No, don't call me Elder.
Senior.
Call me Young Senior.
Young Senior. Young Senior at 87. We sit at your feet and we hope that the powers that be that you're hearing are Young Senior, 87 years old, and he's saying, pay the police well and allow the police to
and they better listen. They better listen. Also, we're going to be in a further they better listen.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller. God bless. Thank you. Yes. Oh boy. Let me go to you. ZICO, just complete what you're saying, and if you have anything to add to what this caller has just said.
Yes. I was saying, especially as a community, I think even for the guy that did it, I think we need to scare these men into committing these senseless violence. Them or is your cousin or your brother? They say this is one people. Rather than trying to protect them, and keep them from the police. No, I think even the bad boys themselves need to bring them up and we do not do. Is that no. And you bring them forward. Them up. This is what you're supposed to do. Even in the cartel in Mexico, the cartel is bring 4 people like that because they don't want that kind of heat. They don't want that kind of pressure. And this is one thing you don't do is kill innocent women and children. You don't. It's one thing for violence, dealing with violence. But innocent people, that's really
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. The community need to bring up these guys. Turn them over. The people in Silver Hill, the community need to get crazy about this community. Turn them in. There is another. I agree with that. I'm in agreement with that. If we're serious and you're all serious, right? So let me hear this caller. And I see a message from Miss McLean. I'll get to listen to it later. Let me get this caller in. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Oh, thank you very much. Good night to you too, and to all the listeners. I'm calling actually from Toronto, and
welcome,
I'm also caller. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm calling with regards to the police service, first of all, and where it stands today with regards to the outrageous gun crimes and the rising awful killings due to these same illegal firearms.
Yes, sir.
The police service today is the lowest in terms of morale, in terms of vulnerability, and then in terms of political interference.
Okay.
And let me explain. If I can at least get a few minutes just to explain all 3 points.
Yes, morale.
The morale of the police force. Yeah, the morale. Yeah. And you can remind me of the other 2.
Yes.
Vulnerability and political interference.
Yes.
The morale of the police service. The morale of the police service is at an all-time low, and at the place where it has never been seen or heard. in the history of the police service, right? And I say that because, first and foremost, the compensation package for a police officer is ludicrous. Okay. When you join the service, I remember when I was in the police force before it became a service. You were joining the force with a salary that's equivalent to $900 and something US a month. Now put that in perspective, and that's in the 90s. Right? Put that in perspective. In the 90s, you were joined, right? There were some guys on my course that were getting just a bit more than I, and then some were getting just a bit under, based on qualifications, right?
This was in the 90s.
This is the 90s, yes, in the 90s, going into the early 2000s, and that salary had nothing to do with any sort of coverage whatsoever, whether it be dental, medical, optical, nor life, nor pension. You were naked. You joined the service, or you joined the force. That salary, and you are exposed to all the elements, all of you basically. Right now, I was told that it is the same thing today. You have to take a group medical plan again, and that money comes out of your salary, and it even throws you into a more vulnerable state in terms of a vulnerable economic state as a police officer, male or female.
So that leads to the vulnerability. So let's go into that. So you're saying because of the poor morale, then they become, which is because of how they're paid, right? That
of course
it's making them vulnerable. So let's move.
That will affect them economically.
Okay.
That will affect them socially as well. It would affect them socially, and then also it would expose such a person. It would expose such a person to becoming a target for law, such as getting involved with the underground culture or the subculture. Right? And it is a known fact that many police officers today are either in association or in the pocket of known crime bosses on the island. So this is not no hearsay evidence or anything like that. These are things that are known, and again, that compromises national security as well. Right, and you know what's incredible. Yes, sir. Nobody wants to have that conversation. Nobody wants to have that conversation.
Yes.
People are talking about the present issues, which is the outrageous killings and shootings and public disorder. But no one wants to go to the preconditioning issues. Right, the involvement of members of the force or the constabulary with known criminal elements. That alone within itself, I mean, it's crazy when someone can report that they went to make a delivery down in St. Lucie,
right,
and they drove through a neighborhood close to Crab Hill Police Station, right, to make this delivery. And as soon as they got to the house where they went to make delivery, out comes some of the foot soldiers with illegal firearms. It's like you think you're watching a movie, but this is the underground reality in Barbados, right? And people don't want to have this conversation, but it's a necessary conversation.
Yes.
Because in order for us to deal with the outrageous public disorder and shootings, we have to go back to the root causes, right? Yeah. The morale will expose. The morale will make any police officer, and care how spiritual they say they are, it will make any man who provides his family after working 60 and 70 hours a week per month. Do the math. It will make any man vulnerable.
Make them vulnerable. Let's move on to political interference only because of time. Go ahead, caller.
Right. So the next topic is the political interference.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this has been and you can see why you're not having much public engagement with the Commissioner of Police and the public, right? That's another that's another political god horse. That's a right? And they need as I think I heard the opposition leader Thorne made a comment about that a few weeks ago, where the Commissioner of Police needs to be an entity that he's able to deal with matters of public interest or national interest without the government interfering, right? And I can recall in the days of Oral Durant and Grantley Watson, right? Those guys stood tall, heads above shoulders, where the government is concerned. Yes, they got the government support, but they made all the decisions that needs to be made as it relates to law enforcement, right? But today you have this interference where the Commissioner of Police, he can't seem to be able to open his mouth unless somebody in government gives him permission to speak. It's laughable. You know what I'm saying? I saw someone recently today, even down to police constables here in Toronto, they speak to the media. They tell the media, they report on what's going on in their jurisdiction, and they speak to the media themselves. They're not called by any public relations name or any gazetteer rank in order to speak and represent the service. Right? Wow, and that's right. And so again, that alone will also have a domino effect through the service as well. Yes. What's the third point now? I forgot the third point.
Well, you spoke about the political interference, and we just have another half minute with you.
Okay, good. So well, that third point, I recall the third point, but is the morale, political interference, that's something else.
And you said vulnerability, and you dealt with that already.
Vulnerability, yes. Yes. So that's my submission. That's my contribution and my submission. Yes. At this point.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. We appreciate
thank you. Calling. I appreciate it very much, and thanks for entertaining my call as well.
Yes. Thank you. Very important. Thank you. Wow. ZICO, you're hearing that he talked about morale, and I saw you shaking your vulnerable, which leads to them becoming vulnerable, and then he's talking about political interference. Your thought? Okay, I think ZICO is stuck. ZICO is stuck.
Yeah, let me go and come back.
Yes, go out and come back. Go out and come back. Let me just check my my phone here. Okay, so I'm just seeing that someone here is telling me that the salary gross is usually about 2,500. If you're a police and you can message me, I won't say your name, and let me know, please, because we want to be able to tell the truth. And I want to hear from a police. And well, I know there's some ex-police, but current policemen, can you message me and tell me what the starting salary is, right? And I'm hearing that I'm hearing from good source in my phone here that it's about 2,500, and I think that they're saying that after taxes that it comes down to about 1,900. I think that's what I'm hearing here, and this is from a good source, guys. That and I'm going to get the correct thing. You know, I'm going to try and get that for you, and get it back here. Okay. Right. All right. Okay. All right. But regardless, I see Mr. Newton is still here. I'm going to bring Mr. Newton in. Good night, Mr. Newton.
Yes, good night, Marcia. I'm here listening carefully.
Yes, you're listening to some of what is being said here about the police and how they're being paid and so on. What are your thoughts?
Well, if the salary, excuse me, if that is the level of salary that they are paid when the month comes after working overtime and doing all of the protecting and
Right,
the
and
work.
we're hearing from good sources that it's really the starting is really 2,500, but that's gross, and then it could get down to about 1,900 after deductions, taxes, etc. But continue.
Well, if that is the case, then that salary is totally inadequate given the cost of living in Barbados today. And I'm sure the policemen would have families to support. They will have mortgages to pay, and $1,900 a month.
No,
Again,
let's be correct. It's 2,500, and then after
yes,
taxes, yeah.
yes, after tax, take home pay of $1,900 is highly inadequate. That's the truth, given the nature of the work that they are responsible for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And while you are waiting, I like Victor Young's comment. Some time ago, I was so disgusted by the behavior of some politicians that I coined the phrase: if you want to if you want to destroy a good thing, involve a politician. And that is exactly what is happening today. The politician is involved in too many things of national and too many things in Barbados. And here again, this is where my idea of limiting the power of government and limiting the power of political parties. And I believe that when an individual is elected to parliament and is serving as prime minister, that person should sever ties with the party, and say that they should not be the party leader, right? They are no national leader, and the administration of the political party should be left to other members of the party. But there must be a clear separation and distinction between the prime minister and the political party. I think that is where a lot of corruption occurs, because the prime minister is still party leader, and the prime minister obviously is going to do things to favor his or her party. And there must be a separation of powers there on that level. Okay? And in terms, I think sometimes we are a bit hard on the average person in the community and asking, what can you do? I think that could be a little hard on individuals. I think, first of all, we need we need a clear national philosophy.
Right. Let me let you pause there, but I know you have your notes, so just take a pause and let us take a caller, okay? Take a pause, take a pin there, and let's take the caller. Good night, caller. Can you welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show? Can you turn down your device, please, and speak up into the phone? Okay, thank you so much. Hello.
Hello, my opposition.
Okay, right. So you're breaking up. We want to hear you, but you're breaking up badly.
Good night. Good night.
Okay, you're breaking up. You want to try again? You want to go? Want to call again? Double check, right? You make sure you're not near a fan, etc. And your connections are correct, because you're breaking up. But we want to hear you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Okay, give me a second there, Mr. Hold your point. Guys, the lines are open, but we only have one line. So we're trying to work with it. We're working with it until better comes. So some people I have to call back, so that's why you're hearing that. Okay. Adrian Hines, read what Adrian Hines is saying here. Good night, Tironi. Oops, good night. I have to call back, so that's why.
Yes,
Okay,
good
so
night, Marcia.
yeah, so I'm hearing your device. I'm hearing myself. So you need to turn something down, okay?
It right down, even on mute.
All right, yes, continue now.
Yes, good night. My name is Troy Hall. Welcome to the panelists. And
Yes,
Marcia Weekes, blessings on you.
Thank you, sir.
What I'm calling, right? You would love to do something or two for your community, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're victimized, generally, that your hands is tied, you cannot do nothing because this BLP government always victimizing people.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people hands is tied in the communities. They will have to put the young people at salary. You will have to have the children and a family, but they cannot. That's how the crime level is going to come about. And being a community, we can stop it. But it's all about finance, and the other truth is the high cost of living in Barbados, we cannot do nothing much. So that's why going to the crime level is going up and going up, going up. So basically, you know, if the police is suffering, everybody's suffering, that's when the crisis is going to start now. Because everybody going to get itself involved in this crime issue.
Right. Right. So you're saying because of victimization, then some people are not, they won't step up. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and somebody here is saying you're right. Trevor is agreeing with you. Well, thank you so much for calling. Thank you. Very good point. Very good point. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
We want the
Prime Minister.
That's gone through. We want the Prime Minister resignation.
You want the Prime Minister to resign? Okay. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Okay, that's just for everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Newton. Any thoughts on the caller? And just oh boy, the calls are coming fast and furious. Just hold a second. This is their moment. This is their time. Okay.
Yeah.
Pleasant good night. This is the Marcia Weekes Show.
Pleasant good night, Marcia.
Yes, we're hearing you way better. Thank you for calling.
You know I will call back. First of all, I just want to offer my condolences to the family there in and that tragedy we had last night.
Yes.
And more or less, the Prime Minister made a speech earlier today, more or less, at the press conference.
Yes, she did.
Like all of us to come on board and help out.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's a great suggestion for all of us to come on board and help out. But first, you need to do different kind of vision. The last thing doing was to shut the barn door. Because if, in the first place, these guns were not able to come into Barbados, more or less, there's no way they could have got so much guns in Barbados. Yeah? That's one. Two, whatever, any information getting to the police differently is definitely true. I can talk to it because I used to work in an organization, yeah, a statutory board where most police different left there coming to this organization never ever to scale about the salaries that these guys were working. This is another government organization, and all they know so there, I don't think they're getting any more pay than that. You got officers in that organization that come from one stage and they went to the supervisor said and they love it more or less that kind of way actually. Police doesn't work for any money and I tell them more or less that more time. These guys they just live off of credit. Yeah.
You're saying the police lives off of credit.
Yeah, more time you got guys different that kind of way with the good boy selling shops. Because my mom too actually had a shop. Yeah. And guys small shop person can't afford these guys coming here, so they have more of the time. They might get a drink again, but what they will do is come and just drink down the profits more or less, or just trust with the profits at the end. If I can, a lot of them have to move that kind of way too, because the live above the means, the more that's that kind of way. And it's hard because after you go there to serve and protect, and you don't get any money, ain't nothing that's left to do but survive. You got bills to pay. Yeah? So as much as they're talking about a lot of different kind of pay, the guys didn't get any force up because they can't find anybody getting force because of the pay. They need to get those guys more money.
The pay. So the pay is a big issue.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, caller. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Keep
you.
a good work up. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I hope you will come out on Saturday.
Hopefully, I will like to, but more or less, God, baby. I will try to. I will love to.
Try to come out on
I will love
Saturday.
to.
If
Dave,
if Dave could put up the flyer for Saturday where we're having that solemn walk. Do you know where Kendall?
From Kendall gas station, yeah.
Kendall gas station, yes.
Yeah, you know that area real well.
Yes, man. And we're gonna walk and bring that love and encouragement inside that community.
The kinds of people that make a difference is about time, because what's going on here in this country right now, it hurt my heart to the core. You know, so because only last night I heard about the shooting, and I had told a friend of mine, listen, it's that little youngster, right? The youngsters, people, big guys, that get shoot more or less that kind of way. They can't stand a bullet, or you can't even look at shots. What is it, a youngster get shot in his belly on that big section, more or less that kind of 13 years of age? You can't live.
Yes.
And this guy only son, because, you know, as a father and a grandfather, I feel the pain, Mom. I tell you all through the day that shit that could have hurt me, and the majority of it just to the core, and there's nothing being done about it. Yeah?
Well, you know, listen, we can't wait on the government to save us. We are gonna have to come together, and we're gonna have to help ourselves, okay?
And it takes a lot of unity too, more or less, because we're not fighting, we're playing a tug of war, we're pulling against each other, and it isn't going to work. It's just weakening the race, yeah, and we don't need that.
Yes.
We put God in front, more or less, and kind of then try to work it up amongst ourselves, because I guess charity begins at home, and we have to work, we have to start somewhere.
Yes, most definitely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for calling.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye. Yes, Nigel.
Yes, Marcia, I was on the point of a national philosophy. I think that we can stem this ugly trend in Barbados if we as a nation can develop a vision of the future. What kind of country do we want to live in? What are our core values individually and as a nation? I think our values and our philosophy, these things are sadly lacking in Barbados. And I agree with Dr. Young. Leadership is key. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's not me.
Okay. Leadership is key in everything, because if Barbados is to rise above this present trend, then I think the Prime Minister will have to forget or abandon this her flight out of the country and stay home and give leadership to the country. She is not present.
Yes.
She does not understand Barbadians. She does not. She is totally disconnected.
Yes. So hold that good point. We have a caller on the line. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Good night, Marcia and family.
Yes. Good night.
Barbados, how are you guys doing? I hope everything is doing well for you guys over there.
Yes, we're a bit sad tonight, but we're doing good.
Yes, I heard of that story now, but we'll speak about that. And oh man, and that some more, because I always ask the question of why are those people that not only bringing in those guns into Barbados are not getting caught? These people that have these guns, these young thugs, we call them, you know, don't have the means to get a lot of things, and they have guns. Somebody somewhere in Barbados, big and deep, are bringing in these guns. If we get rid of the guns, if we get the guns and stop the guns from coming in, the crime rate will stop. You know, that's all it is. Is like you keep giving somebody food over and over and tell them don't get fat. It's sad. It's sad. This morning I was so mad. I was like, you know, no way, not again. I'm a teenager. I mean, it was painful to see that a lot of people did come out and give their condolences, which is the appropriate thing to do. But we need to get to the root and the bottom of this. Those guns are not washing up on the beaches in Barbados, and these, excuse my language, idiots going to get them. Somebody is bringing them in, and tons of bullets in Barbados, and nobody is talking about that. We need to have a conversation about this more often, so maybe somebody will slip and say, yes, it's ABC. Somebody up there know who's who.
Yes.
And we need to stop this.
Yes.
We need to stop this, because no guns, no violence. You can go smoke all the reason why, yeah, it may get a fight, but too many guns are in the hands of the wrong people.
Yes.
And we up in the diaspora are mad because the officials are not speaking about it. They're coming out and making all the same old statements, but they need to get to the root. Somewhere in the ports or somewhere, somebody knows who is bringing those guns to the Barbados. And they gotta stop.
That's where. So we need to find out. Yeah. So that's your point. Thank you so much, caller. Appreciate your call.
Okay, Marcia.
Thank you. So ZICO, you heard what he's talking about there about finding out where the guns are, how the guns are coming in. You are muted. You're muted. You're muted. So if you can unmute yourself there, ZICO. Thank you. I know it's a sacrifice, so you.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was listening. What you said is true, yes. But when you look at it, especially majority of guns that are being found, when you look at it, it's a lot of old guns, which shows that the guns was here for a while. The reality of it is they were here for a while. Am I saying that guns are not coming into the country? I believe they are. Probably not at the same rate. And then we also know about the 3D printers, where you would get to bring them in parts, and then you would basically scan and then do your own mold, and then you build your own weapon from there.
Is that a rumor, or is it true? Really true?
It's true. It's very true, because when you look at it, even the guns that was found, even when they showcase the guns which was found, you can look and see the guns that was the different colors and stuff like that. A lot of the guns on the streets is 3D from 3D print.
3D
so
print.
it is true. Yeah. So it is true. And then
people about explain, because I had to read that up a couple months ago to understand what 3D printing was. Explain to people what that is.
Sure. All right. First, what you would do is that you would get parts for the gun, which should be like the spring, the magazine, different parts you would get from them. It's easy to ship them in separately because they will not be detected. Like if you had to bring in a whole gun, right? So you bring them in parts. And then the parts that you will not bring in, which should be the actual shape of the gun, you will basically go up on a 3D printer, which is going to create a mold. So then the mold now will be able to help you assemble the gun to your likings. So you're bringing the parts that you can't get from Barbados, you'll bring them in parts, where you should be able to pass customs. When you get them here, then you will get the 3D printer, and then you will create the mold for the gun, and then you assemble it from there, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, that's what I read online. They were saying that was happening in a lot of Caribbean countries, but I didn't know whether it was something that had started here in Barbados.
The trend eventually picked up. Because it was becoming more difficult to bring in newer weapons into the country. But the majority of weapons that we are seeing being confiscated, you can look at it and you can see it being here for a while. They're very, very old weapons. Very, very old weapons. I don't know if the government needs to do an amnesty where everybody's come and bring a weapon and turn it in, or something, but it's too many guns on the street, and it is not slowing down. And again, in the hands of too many young people as well. Too many young people, and it's too easy to get access to a gun. Way too easy. And I believe if I don't know if they need to do more undercover work in Barbados in terms of the officers, like how do you have it in the States and other countries. But yeah.
Well, good point there. Let's hear there's another caller. Caller, good night.
Good night, Marcia.
I'm
calling in to find out. Yes, I'm calling in if Mr. Thorne has the right to ask for Mrs. Nia Mortley resignation. He has to do it. Right now, she's doing nothing for this island. And too much crime is in this island. It's only because of this child today she coming on air. We don't want that. We want Mr. Thorne to do what he has to do. Get her resignation and we need her gone. We don't need her as no prime minister any longer. She needs to go, get out of Barbados and go to Dubai where she accustomed going and partying.
All right, caller. Thank you so very, very much for calling. I'm sure that I don't know if Mr. Thorne is listening to that. I don't know as the leader of the opposition what he is able to do, but this is something though, caller. I think that we can agree with the Prime Minister who's calling us together collectively to look at to see what we can do. What can you do as a mother? I don't know. I know you're a young mother or a grandmother. What is it that you can do to help with this, the increase in crime?
We all need to come together here in our neighborhood and whatever, try to speak to the youths, get them come together. But right now, the youths don't want to listen. They want to be more men than children. They don't want to take time and grow up. They want to be a man and a woman before them time. And I would love them to go back as children, get the education, get the degree, and come out to be somebody. The rich is what getting richer and more look at in jobs. The poor are going poor and the people are not doing right for the poor. We poor people need the rich people, and the same Prime Minister needs to cut her money and help with the poor and help with the people of Barbados and stop going overseas and helping and partying. She needs to do a Prime Minister job, not a partying young girl player work multi-place.
Well, that's allegations. We don't know if that's what the Prime Minister is doing. Okay. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and you have a pleasant night, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So this caller is asking for the resignation of the Prime Minister. Do you really think that is what is needed, ZICO?
I don't think it's needed. Is the reality of it is not just a political issue. It's not just a Prime Minister issue or a minister's issue. It's an all of us issue. All of us got a role to play. At the end of the day, do I believe that there's some things that can be done to help prevent the cause of violence within Barbados? Definitely, I do believe so. But I do believe that we ourselves also have a role to play as well. We live in the communities. We know who it is that, who sell the drugs, who's the boss, who's this, who's that. We know somebody who knows somebody. And I don't think we look at the whole snitching culture, but really and truly it's destroying our countries, destroying our communities, and we need to do something about it. And we each and every single one of us have a role to play, not just the Prime Minister, but each and every single one of us.
Everybody has. That's my belief as well. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Good night, Ms. Weekes.
Good night. Good night. Can you speak up a little bit for us?
Sure, Ms. Weekes.
Yes.
Yes, good night. Ms. Weekes, I'd like to put a different spin on this whole thing.
Yes, sir.
I think we have been missing the boat. We wait till the horse gets over the stable, now to try to shut the gate. When Mr. Thompson had speak about crime and violence, the party made a lot of laugh and sport and joke about the people on TV, the radio, right? One of the things that has happened to the other thing that I think it is a good thing Mr. Newton there, as a former worker, I will call his job. I know you have ZICO there. There maybe could pick up on what I say. Now, when we open the floodgates, the people, this government went and legalized marijuana. Okay? And nowadays you could see, if you get on a bus, there's marijuana smoke. If you go into Broad Street, there's marijuana. You won't care where you go today, there's marijuana smoking. We have opened the floodgates to any and everybody coming out and smoking marijuana. Therefore, when the youngsters smoke marijuana and the head gone off, a lot of people don't understand this substance turns your brain. The other thing is, the John in the country or the big boys could give some youngsters a couple of dollars. They're going to take out Mr. So-and-so. And their brain doesn't tell them that when they're going to take out somebody for $200 or $300, you know, that is a benefit to them. They come up with this mantra saying, if you see something, say something. This is foolishness because the majority of us know when you're in your home and you see something and you go to say something, you got reprisal. It comes even from law enforcement. Sometimes they have a warrant to execute, and when certain people know there's certain people going to their home, before the police get there, they already know. So they already move what they think. The other part of this here, I guess Mr. Newton could pick it up because in his work, now you have youngsters who leave school because they're going back to this thing thing about education. Now, some of these children is being expelled from school between 10 years old. When you kick these children out of school, Mr. Newton would know the educational act. There's 3 phases. The first phase, they kick you out. The educational act there, you can't expel a child for no more, suspend a child for no more than 10 days. Okay? You suspend him once, you let him come back to school, you remain the day, you kick him out again, and you got people on the board who doesn't know, because I think with all the social psychologists and then the ministry has psychologists and so on. When these people, children get into trouble, before then when you have a troubled child at school, you usually send them to the mental. Let everybody know what the mentals give. Nobody let you go down there. Because when they smoke up all this marijuana thing, you know, and they go to school and they be, you know, disrupted, we don't have, the ministry have one psychologist on board. And some of the school masters don't even know the services that the ministry offer. The ministry should print out and give to the schools and say, when you have a child given problems, you got the guidance counselors and them there. It's just like you can't tell me if a child goes to school from 3 years old and they like the music phase, oh, he got 11 plus and he failed and he is a bad example. You're going to tell me you have people teaching in school. We have many young social workers about the place, along with guidance counselors. You should be able to pick up these facts from the time don't wait till the child get 11 plus to know that this child isn't doing good. There should be somewhere where you could put this child, you know, and let him come up to speed. You understand?
Yes, understood.
But we also need somewhere that when these young children get into problems, don't associate it, you have them on remand and you have them amongst the other hardened criminals. We got Glandary, old Glandary there rotting it out. The same way you could take up land and give it to the African bank and then we could refurbish Glandary and have these children put there, you know. But what I was saying, the third time that the child get kicked out of school, you have people who sit down on a board who are working and they make, and I think this child is being, like you got a child going to Agnes Nichols after it's being suspended from school. There's no other school wants to take back that child. Right? And then the ministry, you will get a letter from the ministry along with the policeman coming to your home to tell you this child cannot be back in school. So then what are we going to do with these children when they're kicked out of school so early?
You have to have something for them.
We hear Tim Ramsey and all them there, these great people that put a lot of spin on this thing, but they don't deal with the real facts.
Yes, yes.
We used to get down to real facts. Take some of the same retired teachers and them there. If you're going to take these children out of school, have a place. Yeah, you got some places, government buildings for rotting, like Old St. John, the Baptist school, and then we have a person who comes on the start every day preaching about the Polytechnic. But when you teach about the Polytechnic, if a child doesn't learn, how can he get into the Polytechnic to sit a common entrance exam? So therefore, what I'm offering, take some of the same social centers that you got shut down, you open from maybe 5 till 9. People going to sit down on the steps and smoke marijuana. Get some retired teachers and so on, people who have retired, offer them a stipend, give them some material, and let some more trade people who have retired teach them some trade.
Yes, yes.
I would like to hear Mr. Newton and Mr. ZICO thoughts on these, what I've said.
Yes, thank you so much, caller. Thank you for calling. Appreciate the suggestions. Very good suggestion. Thank you. Yes. Tonight we're hearing a lot from our seniors, and that's okay.
Yes.
Before I get to the two gentlemen that's here, let me just welcome SHAQUANI. She's come in for a couple minutes, and just to hear her thoughts on what you're muted. Can we hear you? Make sure you're.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing a bit better now.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Yes,
Good night.
Good night, SHAQUANI. I don't know if you welcome. Good to see you. I know you're very, very busy, but I just still wanted to hear your thoughts on this. You're in just for a couple minutes. What are your thoughts on some of what the caller is saying tonight?
Well, some of the callers are making some very, very good points in terms of how one we can handle the issues going on with crime, and how is the best way to tackle and probably stop before it happens. Because even with the callers, I'm reading some of the comments because a lot of them are questioning what could they have done, what could the public have done, the people who were witnessing have done to stop the incident from happening yesterday. Because it's not only the fact that a 13-year-old passed away, he was possibly not the only 13-year-old there. There was a game there, other children were present there, other families were present. And it's really saddening that today in these times that criminals cannot decide for themselves that this is not something we should do. This is a little bit more risky. The fact that the persons we may be looking for are targeting, there are other bystanders here, younger bystanders, people who will be impacted more in a different manner. I find in the past we would have never really encountered anything like this, but it's almost like they don't care anymore. Like the people who are committing crimes at this stage, they're doing it in a way where they're not worried about who is hurt. They don't care about their ages. They don't care about their genders. Furthermore, I even wonder if they're worried or even concerned that this may be their family.
Yes.
It seems so wild and uncertain. When you know what is breaking up, we're sick to hear that a 13-year-old was shot while watching a sports outside, where parents are encouraging their children to go outside and participate more in wholesome activities. You don't have to fear, is that the best route to go?
Yes, yes.
So even though this did happen, there are a lot more questions than answers. It is very, very scary in these times where you're not even safe. You're not even sure if it's safe to be home.
Thank you. Just listening to what you said. You don't even know if it is safe to be home. Wow.
Crazy.
Let me hear ZICO, the caller, the senior who called and made such wonderful suggestions on how some of the buildings can be used, retired teachers and so on. Any comments on that?
Yes, definitely. Even before I get to that, he was mentioning the marijuana. But what I believe we really do need to address is the epidemic of mollies, the popping of mollies. I don't think it's a coincidence that when mollies was introduced to Barbados, the crime rate went up. And if anybody really did a research on what a molly is, it really just suppresses your emotion in terms of fear. It gives you the courage to do things that you would not normally do. And it enhances, or I would say amplifies your aggression.
Right.
And if you check the majority of these young guys popping mollies and committing acts and committing crimes, and they're giving them the courage to do it, it no longer, oh, I'm scared, I you know what to do, this is the perfect place to do it, or it suppresses all of that.
Yes.
And I think it's something that we definitely need to look at. It's not I do not believe it's a coincidence that after the introduction of mollies, we've seen the crime rate going up. Two, in terms of the institutions and using some of the buildings, I definitely do believe so. I believe there need to be more community centers. I do believe there needs to be more not just organizations, but institutions where young people can come and get themselves involved, learning how to resolve conflict, learning a new trade, community activities, getting to know things of the past, games that no longer play, things like pitching. I mean, there's things to bring back that community spirit back into the community. I don't think we have that community spirit anymore, which it leads to a lot of what we're seeing today, the division. When we see something, we don't say anything because, you know, we don't talk about people, or we don't have that community spirit anymore. So people just acting the way they're acting because they no longer love or have that sympathy or empathy for anybody anymore.
Yes.
So I do agree that we need to start utilizing our resources in terms of the buildings that have things such as boot camp, things where we could, you know, because we can't bend the tree when it old, we gotta bend it now we're young. And I think we are trying to do that majority of the times is trying to bend the tree when it get out of hand.
When it's well, so we need to look at some, as SHAQUANI is saying, some prevention measures. I really hope that tonight is not just talk, we're talking. Mr. Newton, is there anything else the caller, the senior who called, you know, he was making some points there. Anything that you want to quickly add?
Well, yes, I totally support and agree with the suggestion of the caller. But what I think would be very important is for us not only to focus on the external, that is the building or the facilities, but I think that we need to focus on our approach and what we can do, how we can help the young people. Now, I remember when I was a youngster growing up, and any of us in the community misbehave, the grandmother or the mother would walk that young man from her community, say like from Silver Hill to Fairview in Christchurch. Let's use these as two examples. To the elder person in that community and say, Mr. So-and-so, this boy would not behave himself. I want you to talk to him for me. Right? And that elderly person would speak to that child and find out what really is going on, what is going wrong in his life. And that elderly person would counsel that youngster and help him to understand what is happening and why he should behave and how he can behave and so on and so forth. That has come to an end, and we are placing too much on the Ministry of Education, too much on the government, and too much on probation and the court system and the police. We need as a nation, and I'm going to return to it, we need as a nation to decide what our vision of the future, we need to have a vision of the future, both individually and as a nation. And if we can develop a national philosophy, a national ideology, and a vision of the future, then it will help us and it will guide us towards creating the kind of society we want to live in.
Yes. Very well said, Nigel. Thank you so much. I'm really hoping, SHAQUANI, that tonight is not just a talk shop. I have learned some stuff tonight about the police. And SHAQUANI, I think this is one point that we can leave here with ZICO and Mr. Newton with that. It's something that we really need to pick up as an advocacy point. Because I think that, you know, if not, we're just going to be just talking. But we need to find a way to demand of the government, because they're the only ones who can make this part of the change, for increase in pay for the police. I'm serious. I don't have any relative as a police, but all of us, it's important that that we understand in this fight of crime that the people who are at the forefront, ZICO, fighting the crime, need to be paid better. I think that is our general belief tonight. I would say 99% agreed on that, SHAQUANI. In fact, somebody wrote me here, it seems to be a police, says, They said, good night, Marcia. Even the security guards at the airport, the university, the seaport get more money than a police constable.
Wow.
Listen, and this is the reality. Are we a talk shop? Or is this something that we are going to within our groups, within our church groups? If you're an activist, so what can you do to get this message to the powers that be, that the police needs to be paid more? Can we reach out to the Ministry of Labor? Who represent the police? Who are the unions? We need to be able to push for this. If not, ZICO, we're bear talk, right? They said that the Bridgeport and the security officers, that they Bridgetown Port security officers were getting more pay. One police here says this, that when he was a police, his pay was $2,800, and he used to, after tax, if he used to go home with $1,800. And you have to pay bills, and you have a family and wife and 2 children. So guess what? He left and went to work for somebody else that paying him much more. Go do security job. This is the reality here, SHAQUANI. What can be done, SHAQUANI, to get the powers that be to pay this police? So what are some of the things we can do as citizens?
Marcia, this government has told us time and time again they like money. In making that statement, every single person likes money, because without money we cannot get anything done. And if they're going to state that stance that they like money, they must assume that the public likes money as well. The police need an increase in salary so that they can survive the day-to-day. It is hard for every single Barbadian, and it's harder for them because they're dealing with guns in their faces, people shooting back at them. They have to worry about their families being identified and people targeting them. They have a lot more on their plates, especially with crime rising, and the government is not doing anything to assist them. We have a task force that can assist the police that we're not utilizing. We can find the money to pay them, because we find the money to pay for other things. We find the money to pay other people. And with all the taxing that they do to the Barbadian public, you're trying to tell me that they cannot reorganize some of that money to increase the salaries for the police officers? We have said it here more than once, and we're going to say it here again tonight. The DARE program needs to start back again in primary and secondary schools. We need to be teaching our younger generation the dangers of drugs, the dangers of crime, alcohol, and stuff like that, so that they can pick up on the dangers. I see in the comments a lot of people talk about Molly and stuff like that. We have a real issue, especially as I go through the community. A lot of the parents, a lot of the older people complaining that a lot of the young children, as young as 7 years old, are using drugs like Molly. And some of them are using them and might not know at first, because some of these drugs look like candy. So as parents, you need to step up. You need to do your part, because you may be thinking your child is eating something that is just a sweet, but in the reality, it may be more dangerous than that. So you need to be more mindful. I know it is hard. I know parents are working longer hours, but we need to do more, and we need to say something. And if you know somebody around your community selling something or giving something to children, you need to do more than say something. Approach them and let them know that this is not the right thing to do and they need to stop. We at all fronts need to do our part, and we need to step up. Stop being afraid, because when we think about being afraid, more children can be endangered. That's a 13-year-old that passed away. Last year, a 6-year-old was shot. What are we waiting for? It is not good enough, and it's not as simple as saying that, oh, we need this person to resign. No, the people of Barbados voted for you. It's your responsibility to step up to the plate and do your job. And in doing your job, that means that making sure that the people who can do the job, as in protecting and serving the community, one, they're paid well and they're not overworked. A lot of the officers are complaining about how many hours they have to work to address the issues with crime. And then you're trying to tell me that you can't even think that they might want more money? They may need more money? How a person could survive with that kind of with $2,500 monthly in these times, with every single week things are going up. In the last 3 months, the supermarket bills have increased dramatically over time. So basic necessities they can't even afford to purchase, and you're asking them to do more. And crime has increased to become more violent.
Yeah. Very well said, SHAQUANI. Very well said, my dear. And someone is just reminding me. I remember when Caswell, was able to come on the show. Caswell was telling us, and somebody here is confirming it, that they're alleging that the PM's hairstylist gets $8,000 a month. The hairstylist, and I remember Caswell saying that on the show. $8,000 a month the PM hairstylist gets, and you're going to tell me that the police is getting $2,800, $3,000 a month. That's where they're starting. Something is wrong with that. Go ahead, ZICO.
Well, what's even more scary for me is I'm shocked that I haven't seen more corruption within the police force in terms of bribery and stuff along those lines. And when you look at majority of countries where the police are underpaid, those things are introduced because the police tell themselves they need to do things on the hand to make money to help support the family. Within more in a lot of undeveloped countries and stuff like that, where you see that the structure is not that strong, we tend to see a lot of corruption and bribery, and I'm surprised I'm not seeing it here in Barbados. And if we don't start doing something now, eventually believe that is something that we're going to be seeing pretty soon. Even in terms of police even standing against themselves, and we got to watch ourselves, because if we're not taking care of the people who's supposed to be taking care of us, what gonna happen to the country? You understand?
Yes.
What's gonna happen to the country? And I do believe that we need to utilize, the defense force and stuff like that. Something like that happen, I would terrorize. I'm sorry to say, would terrorize Silver Hill until people become so uncomfortable at the person who did it. You know what? You gotta turn you in. You gotta turn you in. You gotta hear too hot. You gotta hear got too much pressure from the people. And I think that something needs to be done like that. That people so scared to come on the house and decide to even do a crime because they know the consequences that coming behind it.
Yes.
And people be talking about criminals having bail. I understand that you cannot assume that everybody is guilty. So I do understand the dilemma where that's concerned. But it needs to be a harsh. It needs to be so harsh that criminals themselves tell themselves, I gotta think twice about doing this. I gotta think twice about people calling my name and saying, "Hey, who do it?" Though. I gotta feel a little fear in terms of even going from the block and sit down knowing that this could be my last day. It needs to be that fear driven back into these criminals' heart. Too many criminals walking about the streets, talking about, yeah, mama, they get bail and they back out and they do my thing, and commit and repeating murders and repeating crimes and stuff like that. I don't think that we are taking harsh actions from crime and violence in Barbados. I think we're looking at it like, eventually can get them, but we need to do something about it.
Yeah. We didn't get to talk about it tonight, but there is a new law on as it relates to bail. And that was passed August last year, and we haven't been able to probably touch on that on Friday. But let me just take this last caller for the night. Good night, caller. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. Hello, good night. Not hearing them. Good night, caller. Okay. All right. So that was our last call for the night. It's 9:59, and we're going to close now. But we want to look on Friday. We're going to want to look at that that piece of legislation. That good night, caller.
This is Michelle speaking.
This is the Marcia Weekes Show.
Yeah, Marcia Weekes Show. This is the my call.
Yes. Hold a minute. You said you are the fire victim. Are you the person that I had told you to call me? I've been trying to find your number. Sir, thanks for calling again. Yes, go ahead.
children of today, actually controlling the parents. Some of them telling them what they will do, when, where. That's one of the things that we have to look at. We are not looking at that point.
Yes, just
repeat.
Repeat what you said. We weren't hearing you earlier. Not your fault, our fault. But can you just repeat? You said the parents.
I was saying, in these days, we have parents that have children that are actually dictating the parents. Telling them when and where, how, and the parents seems to be old enough or capable enough to tell them, I'm the parent, you're the children. So in that case, you will always have crime. You got parents that children bringing home things that they have not been given, and then bring home the parents accept it. And most days they can do that. They're very good cash school, a pencil that they bring home, a piece of a pencil, to make the walk even school. It was licks, and I had to take it back to school next morning. You don't have that sort of thing anymore. So it's actually, as I told you, children comparing their parents, dictating their parents, taking charge of them, and there's no one to tell them nothing because it seems like the parent, the child know, and child is the parent.
Yes.
And I can tell that for a fact because that is one thing that I went through. I actually going through it now. So I know that is a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I call it here.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm going to give you a call when the show is over. Mr. Hines is saying if the parents are not doing their job, well, let the police do theirs. I'm in total agreement with that. Thank you so much, caller. I'm so glad I took the call because I've been searching for your number. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Yes, folks, this has been, I think, a night well spent, but I think as a to-do, one of the things that we can actually work on is to see how can we advocate for the police getting, higher pay, so that we can boost morale and they're not so vulnerable to the underworld, and ask for there not to be any political interference in the police work, so the police can do their work. I think that's one thing that we can take away here tonight. Dave, if you can put up the poster on Saturday, SHAQUANI. I don't know if you know, we are going out on and we're actually calling on everybody. We're calling on the Prime Minister. We're calling on all of her cabinet, all of the MPs, all calling on Mr. Thorne, the leader of the opposition, along with the opposition senators and all of his party. We're calling on everybody. We're calling on all political parties. Let us join hands together. Let us come together. Both leaders have asked the country to come together. Both leaders said that they need. The one leader says that it needs all of us. They both are saying the same thing, and so I'm saying let us come together. Let us meet there at Kendall Hill gas station. All right, and we're going to go up to Silver Hill Hard Court. This does not have to be partisan. This should not be partisan. This should not be about party politics. Okay, this should not be. If you find yourself or you're responding to this in terms of party politics, that response is not going to get us anywhere as a nation. And I do believe, yes, there are some, there are definitely, there's a lot that the government needs to do in terms of policy and laws, etc. And but I think that we need to take stock and ask ourselves, what can we do? Let it start with me. Let us look in the mirror first. And that's what we did tonight before you started to share your thoughts on the different things, areas that you saw that were weak. And I was so glad that we did that, because it is resounding that the police needs better pay. The morale is low. We need better. We need that. And that's important. I'm going to go to Nigel. Nigel, can you give us your closing thoughts tonight before we go?
Yes, I certainly will. I think Barbados is in such a deep crisis that I think we need the Prime Minister must go. We must disband political parties until they can be sorted out. And we should have a team of well-trained former civil servants and other members of the community to run the country until we can sort ourselves out, because too much is placed, or too much, the party politics is too dominant in our country, and we need to get rid of that. Have a select group of eminent persons who are non-political to manage the affairs of state until we can sort ourselves out. And finally, I think we need to close our borders, have a rigorous migration policy to keep out undesirables so that we can sort our country out to suit ourselves.
Thank you, Nigel. And I really want to say, ZICO, are you coming out to this on Saturday?
I definitely will be there.
You'll be there. Can you get some people with you?
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask everybody, when you see this poster, just to put it up as your status. Can we do that, please? Can we put this up on our status? Can we do something together? No party politics, please. SHAQUANI, are you going to be able to? I know you're a hard worker. Are you going to be able to make it on Saturday?
Definitely, I will be there on Saturday.
Yes. Can you get some people out from your community, your constituency?
Yes.
Yes, we need the children there as well. We need the young people there, right? We need them there. All right. And I'm hoping, Nigel, can you make it out? I'm putting you on the spot. You're muted, Nigel. Mr. Newton, you're muted.
Of course, I will be there. I will be there. Never miss a march since I started, and I will not miss this one because I need to help this country recover from the tragedy that it has fallen into.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So tonight, guys, we just want to say thanks to all the panelists, thanks to the viewers, and thanks to the callers. We had such an amazing time tonight, and I learned a lot tonight. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Dave for providing us with all the technical support. Thank you, sir. And just thanks to the rest of the panelists who are not here tonight, but I'm hoping that they can join me in full force on Friday. All right. God bless you all and have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Rose up early this morning to the sounds of crying. Another mother shedding her tears. Oh, yeah. Why all the pain and suffering? Why all the senseless killing? Could it be that nobody cares? Oh, no. So many sons lost in the slaughter, blood running in the streets like water. A gun in hand knows no friend, no. Warmongers selling death in my land, getting rich off the souls of we children. Can you tell me when will it end? How many more must carry this load? Oh, how many more? How many more? How many more? Before we trot down Zion Road. How many more? Sing wayo, 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 wayo. Heavenly Father, won't you hear my plea? Send a happy hand for the country. And man, there's no solution. No. I'm begging for the children's future. Oh, Jah, drugs got them by the collar. How can we stop this mind pollution? Too many starving and too many hungry. Too many homeless souls in the city. It seems like there's no. Too many big shots and too much connections. Too many